Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Total Basis podcast. I am your host, Felipe Milicio, and with me is my guest for the evening, Melvin Lopez. Melvin, coño, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. I'm doing great. And how are you, man? Glad to be back here. It's been a while. It's been life has happened, but I am glad that we got a few minutes here to catch up on how this fantasy league's been going. It's been going crazy, and I'm glad to talk about it for a little bit with you, man.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you on board. I've been meaning to get you on, and then before the show started, we were talking about like how life is just coming by so fast with the kids, and we can't find free time to do this type of stuff like we used to. I miss COVID. I miss COVID when we were able to have all the time in the world to do this stuff. We weren't allowed to go outside, um, and
Yeah, I was encouraged to have a hobby. So
I could just stay in and just order stuff from Amazon and Uber or whatever. And
see people gauge prices on sports cards. That was a great time.
oh man, I miss it already. I mean, except for the part where everybody got sick and died, and we were
Right.
having those arguments
The,
about
and the
medicine.
mishandling by the authorities that was also not very
No,
not very cool.
yeah, it could be worse. You could be in one of those other countries that was really mishandling that, as we found out the hard way
Right.
from across the world. It was a mishandling of everybody at that time. But you know what? From those ashes, this podcast came to fruition. So I can't hate on it too much from a selfish standpoint, from an individually selfish standpoint. I know it was a pandemic of worldwide proportions, but it did, you know, from that bleakness, this podcast came to rise, and it's been what,
That's awesome.
5 years, 5 seasons into it. Um, Learned a lot with every guest that comes in, getting different people's perspectives on this great game of baseball of ours. I know that we mostly talk about fantasy baseball, but I always, like I told you before, I've always tried to merge both worlds. I know that back in my day, back in, when I was in my early to mid 20s, that was frowned upon. But nowadays, it
Oh,
seems like you can't I mean, before the show started, we were talking about baseball savant numbers.
right.
I mean,
And
do you
that,
use any of that those fancy
the
schmancy Statcast numbers for your fantasy baseball purposes?
some of them,
Some of them.
like you UZR, and all that stuff. I mean, some of them. Then others are mere entertainment. I mean, I think Christopher Morel is the perfect example of the perfect poster child for how some of those stats are entertainment, and sometimes they don't translate into reality. But yeah, I do use some of those to put everything together, and a little bit of baseball reference and a little bit of fan graphs, just a healthy mix of everything, and a little bit of watching the game too.
Oh, the eye
That always
test, the
comes in
old eye
handy.
test. That's still a
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, no, I don't go with the gut, but you just can't play on. I think players like Daniel Vogelback show us that uh, the stat sheet doesn't tell the whole story. So I mean, it happens with some hitters. It happens with pitchers. Sometimes good hitters land in a not optimal situation that a team that doesn't have use for them for their talent. So you can't hire a carpenter when you need a plumber. So a lot of that gets lost in the stat sheet. But yeah, man, we're really real happy. Let's get to it, man.
Well, I mean, since we're on this thing, like, okay, let's see what the stat. Just, I'm gonna throw some Statcast number. I know, I've always been meaning to talk to you about this because you are a math guy. I think you have master's degrees in mathematics and analytics and things of
Well,
that
data,
nature,
data
correct?
analytics, kind of like
So,
that.
so
Yeah.
you're part of the problem.
Statistics, data
Yeah,
analytics.
you're part of the
So
problem, Melvin. You're the nerd that's ruining baseball. Is that what it is?
I'm one of if you ask Goose Gossage, I am the problem. I like information a little too much, which has always floored me because the traditional writers did not vote him in. He was voted in by contemporary writers that took war into consideration on a lot of those stats that he pisses on. So
Yeah,
that's
how's that
ironic,
for irony?
but
Oh yeah.
he has a right, obviously. But I find that ironic that Goose Gossage, tends to frown upon uh, the modern stats when those modern stats used by modern writers were the ones that finally gave him the call because he flunked like 8 or 9 times before. So
I'm actually glad you brought that up. It wasn't supposed to be a Hall of Fame show, but it's a good, interesting point because it's not just analytics were and when I say we, it's the collective we, the powers that be who are creating these fancy schmancy statistics, war and all those acronyms and abbreviations that people tend to hate. Um, but it's not just that; it's literally looking at how different eras play a different type of baseball. And in that
Right.
era where Goose Gossage was playing, those dudes had to pitch two, three, 4 innings sometimes just to get the games shut down for their own teams. Lee Smiths, Bruce Suitors, the Raleigh Fingers of the world, having to pitch multiple innings, not just 3 outs
Yeah,
and get a
part of the
save,
story.
9 outs, and that's
Yeah,
part of the story. And that's this part
part
of the
of the
story.
story of the Sandberg. Like people ask me about the Sandberg game. The Sandberg game was a game in the middle of June.
Hmm.
It wasn't like supposed to be anything special. It was Cubs Cardinals, but it was a game in the middle of June. But it involved Bruce Sutter coming in to do what he did best at the time, which is shut it down after three innings.
Yeah,
So that's part of the story, part of how the game was played then. Can that happen these days? Nah. Now we are in the and we
hyper.
learn from information. Information shows us that maybe it is best to pitch them as often, and we want career longevity. It's the longer. I mean, baseball would have been a better game had Mark Pryor had a full career.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's my stance on it. Yeah, I want to see Bob Gibson pitch 9 innings, but I also want guys like Mike Pryor to get a shot. So it's
Yeah.
healthy balance.
Yeah, and because of that mentality, I want Mark Pryor to have longer longevity and Kerry Wood to have longevity. And can you tell I'm a Cubs fan as well? What could have been, right? Um,
Right.
we are now in a super hyper. I was gonna say hyper. Shoot, I lost the term I was gonna use. Hyper specialization, especially out of the bullpen. And you could
Right.
say an old school guy like, oh, I don't know, Tony La Russa was the one who started that when he realized that, I could use Dennis Eckersley for 3 innings. But why do that when I have all these bullpen guys who are pretty good? Rick Honeycutts of the world, and I forgot who else was on those teams, but I know the point was to bridge between
To
those
Eckersley.
guys and Dennis Eckersley. And you know what? La Russa got a taste of his own medicine in 1990 with the Cincinnati Reds when the Nasty Boys,
The Nasty Boys, yeah.
not the wrestlers,
Dibble
but
and Randy Myers, not
future,
not Brian Knobs, and
yeah,
but
Randy
Randy
Myers,
Myers and Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton,
Norm Charlton, who future
yeah,
Mariner, Randy Myers, future Cub, and Rob Dibble,
yeah, Rob Dibble,
perennial
Forever Red,
red ass. Correct, you're right about that, sir.
right, and
Um,
broadcaster too.
he is Rob Dibble.
Yeah, Rob
Wow,
Dibble did a little bit of broadcasting for ESPN and a
wow.
little. Not that I can watch the Reds here because I'm 4 hours away, but yeah, Rob Dibble did a little bit of broadcasting too. So
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But the point was that is analytics is not just creating fancy numbers to justify things, but it's also looking back and from a statistical point of view and seeing how the game was played back in the day and how it has evolved. And a lot of these contemporary writers, as you mentioned, and a lot of the people in the veterans committees realize, oh my God, these guys were freaks of nature pitching 3 innings at a time to get saves. Nowadays, you get like 3 outs and that's a save, and people glorify, and these pitchers get millions upon millions of dollars to pitch for 1 inning. That's ridiculous. So that and because of that, you saw an influx of these longtime closers with like 200, 300 saves, but they racked up a lot of innings pitched throughout their careers, like the Goose Gossages, the Suitors, the Lee Smiths, and all those guys
Lee Smith, yeah.
because of that sabermetric analytics mentality and that revolution, Goose Gossage got to go into the Hall of Fame. But Goose Gossage also thinks that those numbers are ruining baseball.
That's where the irony lies for me there.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, I don't listen to Goose Gossage for anything. I mean, yeah, yeah. We kill. They hunt geese up in Canada, so I don't know what it has to do with anything, but that's Goose for you. Anyway, let's talk about the Mardi Gras Madness Fantasy Point head-to-head weekly league. This is your second or third season? I
This is my
forgot.
second season. Yeah, second season.
Okay, and well, the question I was going to ask you is, well, because we didn't get a chance to talk at the beginning of the year, but really quick, can you tell me what strategy? Because I've been talking strategy all winter long, and we with my guests I talk about things that we could have done differently, things that we could have learned. But let's take you back to March. What were you
All right. Well,
thinking? What was your
in
mentality? What was
March,
your
well,
strategy coming into this draft?
here's my mentality was in March. In March, I was keeping pitchers and Corey Seager.
Yeah.
So the number two MVP guy and four pitchers. That's what I wanted to do.
Do you remember who your
So
pitchers were?
my pitchers were Freed, Class A, and I know I'm gonna catch it from you on this one. Snell and Hader.
No, I was no, hold on. So Emmanuel Clase and Josh Hader. I mean, as you know, those were the two pitchers I picked 2 years ago in the ESPN league because you
Right,
guys took all the starting pitchers because the Autobots and
right.
everybody else picked.
Yeah, you
So like,
had
all
to.
right, well, I'll get the two
Uh,
best
so, so
closers in the game then,
so
and I won a
I
championship
went
with
with
that.
pitching. Yeah, I
And
went with pitching because
Max
I followed kind of
Fried
like
and
yeah
you said Max Fried because I gotta correct him this. I was high on Blake Snell this year, not last year, but this year I was high on him
right.
because he was gonna
And he
come in
pitched pretty
cheap.
well last night. I mean, I mean, when he's been out there, he hasn't been. I mean, people want to say that the him signing late didn't have anything to do with it. I disagree from the perspective of every single person that says that they have played the game that does throw you off. I mean, you ask any pitcher that's played the game, they'll tell you that signing late will mess you up.
Yeah,
I
Blake
mean, it
Snell.
messes
Yeah.
up. It messes up a position player. I couldn't even a pitcher even more. Pitchers are creatures of habit. So, but I'm Snell when he's been out there. I mean, he gave me like I think it was like 9 points yesterday, so I wasn't bad from his first day back from the IL. And he pitches twice this week, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes back to back games. And
But I was gonna
uh,
mention I was trying to acquire Blake Snell via trade this offseason. It just wasn't working out because I thought maybe this would be the time to get him, but it didn't work out. And I was even thinking about drafting him, but again, I think I was scared away because of the lateness of it all. And Blake Snell he seems to be a guy who's very he has a routine set that he's a man of a creature of habit is what I'm trying to say.
right,
And signing late really did affect it. So I just wanted to
and
point
he
that
is
out. Go
gonna
ahead.
he is who he is. He's gonna walk people. It's what it is. He's gonna walk his fair share, but he's gonna give you the outs. And if you're in a league where wins give points, he's gonna give you the win, and he's gonna have a whip that you'd rather live a little bit with less whip. Blake Snell is in the 1.2 whips. You'd rather him be in the 1.0 something.
Yeah.
But then again, he's gonna walk his people. But not everybody. You really don't want to pick a pitcher. That's been the problem with Javi Assad in a lot of these leagues. You can only live so long walking people and pitching around danger until it catches up to you. So, but then again, Blake Snell has two Cy Youngs to his credit, so
Yeah.
he's proven that he can pitch
The
around
walks.
traffic. So,
So that was your keeper strategy, but so how did you want to build your the rest of your roster with those four pitchers
so
and Corey Seager?
so I wanted to go well. I believe one of my first picks. What I wanted to do
Oh,
was I wanted to go for offense then because I wanted to have set pitchers just in case pitchers started going down. Because you remember what you used to say, when in doubt, draft a pitcher, right? And if
yes.
you see the first guy I picked was Royce Lewis, went down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then Arias has been meh a little bit this year, but Royce Lewis ironically got replaced by Jose Miranda in real life and in my team as well.
Yeah.
So that's been my little ace in the hole throughout this Jose Miranda. All these points I've been getting from these unlikely two dudes like Miranda and Profar finally becoming the player that he's been advertised for the past 10 years.
Oh my God.
We're
Yeah.
finally getting Jurickson Profar. Like, if he would have played 10 years like this one, that's what people were expecting him to have played. Didn't work out that way, but I'm glad he's giving me a lot of these points. So
I'm happy for
um,
Profar because he was one of the first episode after all the drafts were done. I did a show where let's find players who are rostered in less than 50% of CBS Sports leagues because I think CBS Sports fantasy website is a good indicator as to what players would be available. Um, I don't know, ESPN, those roster numbers look weird. Same thing with Fantrax. Yahoo's definitely weird, but CBS Sports seem to have it right, and I don't know why or how, but probably because you got to pay to play to be in this website. But
Yeah, they put a lot of effort into the research, you can tell.
but
But
Profar, yeah, was owning less than 50%, and I go, hey, be he qualifies, and now would be the time to get Profar because he's making contact and he's being more productive than usual. He's guaranteed a starting spot every single day. Now's the time to get him before it's too late.
and he can
And
play center field too.
yeah, he could play. I mean, he has that
He can play
versatility.
center and left. Yeah, he can play center and left. And I don't know what happened. I think the past 2 years, man, if it wasn't for Willie Castro, I don't know what would have happened with my center field, bro. Because the past couple of years, center field has been thin. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, ever since Mike Trout hasn't put on a couple of seasons, I mean, if you got Judge playing in center, maybe you got, but center field, man, by the end of these drafts, there's not much left in center field. As you can tell, I was forced to go there with Chas McCormick.
yeah,
But if so I had to, make some changes. But if it wasn't for Willie Castro, I don't know what would have happened with my center field. I think I picked up Duran on the waiver wire. So we'll see. I'll have a little back, but Willie Castro's been doing pretty well in center field for me, giving me some valuable points there. But this season, man, has been so weird when it comes to like who performs and who doesn't. And
yeah,
I don't know if we're going to talk about that later, but man, it's been a crapshoot, man. I've done
yeah,
so many. I've had to do so many transactions, so many. I was pretty high on Francisco Alvarez, and I think
yeah,
you picked him up because he got hurt. And
yeah.
I needed a catcher, and somebody threw Adley Rutschman at me for Hader, and I could not say no to that because I already had Class A, and Hader was a little meh this year. So somebody threw Adley Rutschman at me for Hader, and I had to pull the trigger on that. So,
Yeah.
but Francisco Alvarez is looking pretty good, man. He's looking like any. I get it, catchers are catchers. If you can get a catcher that hits, that's a huge plus. But these two kids can hit. Alvarez can hit, and he can slug. I like catchers that can slug like that. He's gonna give some valuable points on the slug. So
Getting back to Profar really quick, I remember that I put out a challenge. It was a playful challenge. Four players, right? Four players, and they were pretty weak hitting players. I think Nick Madrigal was on that list, Nicky Lopez, and Jurex and Profar, and there was one more guy, and I forgot his name already. Maybe Nico Horner, I can't remember, but weak hitting, slappy hitters. And
that
as a
had to be
joke,
Nico. Then, yeah,
I'm sorry, what?
yeah. Then Nico Horner had to be there.
I don't know if he was in this example specifically, but my mind is, but I know Profar was in there because I remember like I was shocked to see him. And actually, my the challenge was in the Baseball Life Facebook group was which one of these four players is gonna finally hit his first barrel, right? Barrel is a statistic used by Statcast, based on where the launch angle and the velocity, the exit velocity that comes off. That's how you get a barrel, right? And these
It's
guys
pretty
had
much hitting the ball
zero.
in the sweet spot.
Basically,
Pretty much.
yeah. And these
Yeah.
four players had zero barrels like by the end of May or June, something crazy like that. So who's
Wow.
gonna get it first? And I thought Profar was gonna hit it. Turned out Magical hit it, but there was a technicality, and I don't know, something stupid.
Madrigal, I had to have had a launch angle of like 10 then. 10.
I vaguely remember the hit. I think he was still with the White Sox. That's how far back we're going. But yeah, Profar was struggling to get a barrel like not too long ago. And this year he already has 20 this season for a
Wow.
7.5% rate, which I'm not, I can't, without even looking, I have to guess
That
that's
towers
a
over his career rate, I'm
has to be
sure.
a career high for him. Has to
That
be.
towers over it.
Let me double check that. But yeah, I'm super happy for Profile that he has that. Going back to your draft, so it looks like you're basically trying to you were trying to fill out your hitting lineup and then just pick
The
and choose.
offense. I was going for offense in the beginning. I picked up Shota and like as one of my first pitchers.
Showtime,
He
I have
gave
him.
me a lot of. He's probably going to give me about 20 points today because he's winning in the bottom of the eighth. But he gave me a lot. Those first couple of while everybody was trying to hit their stride, and while everybody was trying to find their footing, I mean, having Shota out there give you 25, 30 points every week in the first couple of months was really good. So
So
it was good. It was a good compliment to that pitching.
yeah, so that ended up being your diamond in the rough, so to speak, to go with the other pitchers that you mentioned, because again, you started out pitching heavy, and then to finish off, you
Well,
got
I found him, and here lately I found Jameson Taillon too. He's been He's been having, like, I think he pitched his sixth consecutive quality start yesterday.
Oh wow.
So yeah, six consecutive quality starts. He's been putting some serious points here lately. He's been starting, and I had to make a choice between him and Dylan Cease. So, but I've been choosing him, and he's been giving me the points. So
Uh, Dylan Cease, was he wasn't a keeper. You acquired him. You acquired
no,
him
I
in a
acquired
trade.
him. I think he came on the Rushman trade. Well,
Okay.
yeah, he came on the Rushman trade. And I gave him. I think it was season Rushman for Hader and a draft pick. So it was all. But
So
yeah, he
the draft is a mixed bag of versatile players. You're trying to balance it out as best you can.
as
Uh,
best I could, because
yeah,
it's so. Look, for example, a guy like Brandon Donovan, right? That dude will have a C. Will have a we'll have a week where he give you 32 points, right? And another week he'll have you -1. So you really like, but you got a lot of guys like this that I wanted guys that if they stopped hitting, that at least they could do something else, like him, like McCormick. Okay, he stops hitting, he can steal your base now and
right.
here and then. Obviously, I went totally wrong with Christopher Morel because I believe that because everybody was hyping him up that he was gonna be a little more versatile this year. He was gonna steal bases, this, that, and the other. That didn't materialize. He's still low on base, high slugging, and I think that's who he is. Period. But um, which in a categories league, I mean, he'll run into one. He'll give you your 32, 33 home runs a year. If you're in a categories league, Christopher Morel, great. But on a points league like this one, he's gonna have to do a little more than that for me to keep him around. So
Right. So that's your draft, and then we go to, I think this is the roster. No, that's the power rankings. I have your roster up here. There it is. So there it is. Rushman, Cornerworth, Luis Arias, Jose Martin. We're not gonna talk about each and every one of these players because
right,
we'll
right.
be here all day. I guess I'm wondering if there's
Shout out,
one.
shout out to Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker has been giving some serious points lately. So
Is
I
that the player?
I,
I
I
was gonna
gotta I
say,
gotta shout him out.
do you want to highlight one player? Is that the guy you want to highlight, or you want to highlight someone else?
Well, I mean, I'd love to. We already talked about Profar. Uh, But I mean, my best player this year has been Class A. Class A has been my guy
Sorry,
this year.
hitters. Spotlight one
Oh,
hitter, and then
hitters.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's go with let's go with Brent Rooker. Let's go with
Okay.
Rooker. I mean, he's. I mean, come on, Oakland's not going to get a lot of love from a lot of places this year. So,
Nope.
I mean, he as you can see, he's starting 82% of the team, so people are noticing.
Yeah.
And he's had a few he's had a few really good 20-point weeks and all that. And heck, the other day I left him on the bench and he put 38 points.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
high slugging, high slugging. I don't know what Oakland's going to do with him or anything else they are
Trade him.
involved in. But I mean, if you're a team in contention looking for or if you're looking for because he's in the bench in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Multiple leagues have him in the bench. Obviously, he plays right field. You got Judge on your team. This dude's going to the bench. But if you're looking for, I think he can play left field too. So
Yeah. Corner
sometimes
outfielder.
left
Yeah.
field can be a little thin. I suggest looking at Brent Rooker if you're out there on a league on a points league because he's giving some really good points there.
Yeah. The Statcast numbers are crazy. By the way, that Jurickson Profar is 7.5% barrel rate, career high, easily career
Career
high.
high, yeah.
Yeah, I just double checked right
Exactly,
now.
exactly. I mean, it serves. That's just watching the games for you. You know.
Yeah. And then Brent Rooker's barrel rate, 16.6%,
He's
which
running into it, man. I mean, I don't know. It's either that
crazy.
or a camera, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's
So
he's hitting it. He's getting it.
I'm curious to see where does that rank him because I honestly don't know what 16.6%. I know that my rule of thumb is if it's double digits, that should be pretty damn good. But let me see here. 16.6% barrel rate. Oh, he's number 6 among all qualifying hitters. Would you like to
That's.
hear the top 5?
Well, I'm pretty sure Judge is up there.
Number 1. Yep. Want to get another guess in
Otani.
there? Otani's number 2.
Let's see who else is barreling the ball. Henderson, Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson does not. He's number 18 at a
Oh
healthy
wow, okay.
14.1%. So top 20,
I mean, that's
but
pretty. That's
not
pretty. That's pretty healthy.
but
But
not top 5.
what about Soto?
Juan Soto is number 4, and that's why the Yankees are ruining baseball. Go ahead. You got two more hitters to go.
Two more. Okay, we got Otani, we got Judge, we got Soto, we got who else barrels the ball like it's nothing. Uh, it's escaping me. Vlad Jr. He's barreling
No,
this year.
no,
No.
no.
Uh
27th overall, by the way. Vlad
oh
Jr.
my. Oh,
Yeah.
matching his number.
Top 30. I
Uh
mean, yeah, it's not bad, but
Olson's
not.
not doing anything this year. What about Bohm? Is he doing anything?
Alec Bohm, I don't see him on the top in the top 30.
Okay,
Hmm.
because I know
Yeah.
Riley ain't doing it this year. What about Freddie? Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts?
No, and Mookie just got hurt, so he probably doesn't qualify. Freddie Freeman, he's no, he wouldn't be a barrel kind of guy. He's not in the top. I don't
Man,
see him in the top 30. You know who is in the top 30 though? At number
who?
28, Michael Bush. Which
Michael Bush
oh, here
in my
another one.
ESPN league.
Ian Happ at number 30, by the way. So
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Cubs have some gunners there. No. By the way, Aaron Judge and Marcell Ozuna at number 5. They're both on my
Osuna.
on my team here. So
Osuna from the Braves. Yeah.
I know how to
you
pick
got
them.
you got to specify Osuna from the Braves. Like he played
Marcell
the Cubs.
Ozuna from the
So.
Braves, right? Correct. I know how to pick them. And number 3 is O'Neal Cruz. So when he does make
O'Neal
contact,
Cruz. Well,
yeah.
yeah, he's barreling it. But what's his exit velo?
Exit velo
No, not the exit velo.
95.6.
The launch angle. Launch
Oh,
angle.
the
What's he
launching
got?
11.7, which
That ain't going out, bro. Not in
yeah,
Pittsburgh either. Like
but
that ain't
okay,
going out in Pittsburgh.
but Shohei Ohtani's at 13.2. So I mean, the launch angle, I don't like. You have to provide so much context. But yeah, I mean, Juan Soto's at 10.3. So
But that's
yeah,
going out in Yankee Stadium. You,
it,
you've seen the right field at Yankee
true,
Stadium, and you see the right field in Pittsburgh. It has a huge wall. So
true. No, but he is
I
hitting the
mean,
crap out of the ball.
O'Neal Cruz will hit a piss missile onto the Allegheny, but there's a lot of those
Mhm.
111 and 110s that I've seen hit that wall in Pittsburgh. Like,
So, but my concern with O'Neal Cruz is, does he make enough contact? And he really doesn't, and that's been his
well,
detriment.
my main concern with O'Neal Cruz is if he's not going to be DH in 2 years.
Oh, really?
So
Is he that bad
uh,
on fielding now? I thought he was he
him
had
and
all
Ellie
the
De La Cruz
tools.
aren't. I mean, they got arms, but
Yeah.
I mean, they got arms, they got rockets, but I mean, they are their 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 uh their defense is doesn't complement the arm. People think
Mm,
they're a lot more much better defenders than they are. I don't think they're liabilities yet, but then again, you're not much of a liability when you're a freak athlete at 23.
right.
27, 28, 29 start creeping on you, and if you haven't figured out how to play shortstop, you're going to be the Asian real quick. So
Right.
we'll see.
So there's your top 5. So some heavy hitters there, including so Brent Rooker
So
is in
Brent
good
Rooker's in really
company.
good company this year.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm glad I highlighted him, man, because there's not much going on for Oakland this year. So
the other problem with Brent Rooker, and well, let me ask you this. So this is something I've been kind of struggling with this year, as you want to get guys who can hit for contact, but if you rely too much on those guys, you're not going to get much of any output and production because those guys are way too safe, right? That's the problem that we had with Jorikson Pro for all these years is that he makes a lot of contact, but he doesn't produce anything for you. This year,
right, I mean, and
he's
that's the Luis Arias of the world. I mean, you
yeah,
can you be
yeah,
a Hall of Famer and be that kind of player? Of course. I mean, Tony
R-
Gwynn, Luis Arias,
Rod
Ichiro, Pete
Carew,
Rose,
yeah.
Rod Carew. So I mean, and can you be a player like that these days? And I mean, you better have some wheels. I tell you that. You need to.
Nope. And
Those guys used
hey,
to leg a lot of stuff out. Even Pete Rose,
hey,
those guys used to
Luis
used,
Arias,
so
not the fastest guy, Luis Arias, but with the knee injuries and all. But yeah, yeah, people celebrated him last year, and right now the big guy, the guy that is catching everybody's attention with his contact skills, is the guy from the Cleveland Guardians and Stephen Kwan. Stephen
Quan.
Kwan.
Yeah, let me
Once
tell
he,
you, man, that kid can hit through 40, and I know 340 is like I grew up in an era where the batting champion would hit 370, Larry Walker and all those guys, But 340 would be the equivalent this year. I bet you Stephen Kwan could finish the year at 340, especially in that field, where he plays.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
which is
and
gonna suck because that's gonna take away any chance that Judge has at a Triple Crown. But it's what
yeah,
it is, man. You can't win them all, bro. I mean,
right. Especially Quan being so special. That's his specialty, is being able to hit the ball in with high contact. And then actually this year the Cleveland Guardians told him, "Hey, it wouldn't hurt you to hack at a few pitches every once in a while." And now he's producing with power. So that's what we need, a guy who gets a lot of contact rate and is able to hit for some pop and power every once in a while. That's
the coincidence is that he reminds me of what Grady Sizemore was supposed to be. So
mm,
I
don't
mean,
don't
let's bring out the tool bag, I guess. But I mean, Sizemore was a center field, but
yeah.
I guess that's
Oh,
I still think about I
don't
still think
remind
about
me.
Grady Sizemore.
I'm trying
I'm
to
telling
forget
you,
about Grady Sizemore.
I still think about Grady Sizemore often. Not in a weird way, but man, what we were talking about earlier, what could have been, right?
No,
What
Grady
could have been that
Sizemore
guy.
was at one point in this league that you're seeing right now. At one point, he was a focal point for me. Like he was gonna be my franchise player, and I was so
I
happy
mean,
to
he
get
had the
him.
tools, man. He had the tools,
He just couldn't stay
and
healthy.
I see a guy like, I don't know how Quam's arm is and all that, but I don't want to. I'm not a big five tool guy. I'm not a scout. Scouts love that term. I'm more of a writer, commenter, whatever. But I don't know how Quam's arm is, but Quan's got a lot of tools that remind you of a solid player.
No,
So
I got you.
even though he makes a lot of contact, got good BABIP and everything. So.
I got you, man. I got a better comp. It's a former Cleveland Guardian too. Former Cleveland Guardian farmhand from I will say 10, 15 years ago. Outfielder, left-handed bat. Do you want to take a guess, or you just want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Michael Brantley.
Michael Bradley, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
better,
Here
yeah.
he's that's a pretty solid player, man. I think I made multiple All Star teams, so I
Championships, yeah.
mean, yeah, you can build. I'm telling you, man, that kid Quan. I mean, it's he's got some solid contact skills and solid line drive skills. That it's uh he can steal some bases too. So in fantasy, he's pretty good.
On
So
the
he's a 25 stolen base guy, right? I mean, he's got the tool in there.
I offhand, I don't know. I have to look it up. Honestly, when I think about Stephen Kwan, I'm not thinking stolen bases, but I might be wrong. Who knows? When I think about Stephen Kwan, I think of just a professional hit, like a Ben Zobrist type of hitter, like a Michael Brantley type of hitter, guy with high contact rate. And
And you need those guys to win. You
oh
need
yeah,
you need. I mean, he's got 4 stolen bases this year, but man, 168 OPS plus, with 9 home runs,
from a
like
from a guy like him, that's pretty major.
9 home runs and a 949 OPS. He's getting some gappers in there somewhere. There's a
Yeah,
lot of doubles in there. So, I mean, he's doing what he's got to do. And man, I don't know who's got him in this league, but I wouldn't let him go. I wouldn't let Quan go this year.
let's
I don't know
see
who's got him in this
here.
league, but I don't know.
Nine home
Whoever's got him out
runs.
there, let him go. Don't let him go.
He has 9 home runs, 13 doubles, and 2 triples. Good enough for a 531 slugging percentage
So
and an
yeah, it's
ISO power
531
of
slugging
168.
with 9 home runs. So I
By the
mean,
way, 160, it's a career year for everybody. 168 ISO power, that is 60, about, let's call it 65 points better than his career highs. This guy
168 ISO.
168. This guy used
Yeah,
to tinker around the 100s.
the 100s.
Yeah, now he's at 168, which is just, and he hasn't given up he hasn't his whiff rate, I have to imagine that his whiff rate has not gone up because he's still hovering around less than 10% in his strikeout percentages. It's crazy how this guy with this magnificent batting eye, which by the way, you
Yeah,
were right about this.
374 BABIP, by the way.
Oh,
Strikeout percent, 8%. So,
yeah, see, the BABIP is a little concerning, but if anyone can hit for high BABIP, it'd be this guy. By the way, you were right about the stolen bases. Yeah, he has shown that to steal 20 stolen bases in the past.
so
He's
he
not doing
can. I mean,
not doing
he's
it
a
this
he's
year
a
though.
21 stolen base. He's not doing it, but he's got the tool in there.
Yeah,
And looking at his numbers, his hard hit percent, it went from 18.8 last year to 23.3 this year.
yeah.
So and he's just not hitting the ground balls anymore. Ground ball percent went from 45.4 last year to 35.8 this year.
Yeah, that's what the Guardians
So
told him to do. Yeah.
and he's still hitting the line drive. So, again, and I know people don't like this, but I promise you, if you don't hit the ball on the ground, it's got a much better chance of ending up a hit. It's just what it is.
I'm curious now, because I know that I saw that clip that the Guardians were telling him how to do stuff, and let me see what his launch angle has been, and then we'll move on to something else. Get as much covered here as possible. Yeah, launch angle has been increasing since his rookie year in 2022. Launch angle 11.8 last year, 10.7 this year, 13.5. Barrel rate is up by a full percentage. So I mean, some people would say, well, that's not big of a deal, but it's a game of inches. 1% might make all the difference for a guy like Stephen Kwan. And the
Well,
exit
and also
velocity,
if he can steal bases, I'm pretty sure he can
yeah.
also leg some singles out and
Oh yeah,
stretch some singles into doubles, some doubles, and he's got a couple triples.
yeah. He's
I
that
mean, a
type of
guy
guy.
that I mean, the leader of the league, what ends up with what 12 triples, and he's only got two. So I mean,
Yeah.
so
Let's see if this thing won't cooperate with me. Let's really quickly highlight one of your pitchers, and then
well,
we'll move on to another team.
my pitcher has been Class A this year.
Yeah.
That's been that guy's been. I think he moved. I read that in our league he moved into like the fourth overall player. I think it is.
Mm.
Like he's moved into very high territory. It's really good to have a to have a reliever like this in this type of league because you never know when you have two starting pitchers that throw an egg in one day in one game, and then all of a sudden you got a guy like Class A that gives you that gives you 15 points 12 points one night, 13 points the other. So, but yeah, he's been the best player in my team this year, Emmanuel Clase, and he's been my pitcher, and right now he's still one of my keepers, and he's one of those guys that I'm asking a ransom for if he would ever move, but not that I'm moving him, but there's always a price for everybody, but his is I would have to ask for a king's ransom for Emmanuel Clase right now. That's my guy right now.
By the
So.
way, Stephen Kwan, he's with Austin's team.
Oh, Austin. Okay,
Yeah,
so
which is not surprising.
Austin would have that guy. You see,
Yeah, not surprised at
Austin would
all.
have that guy. So
Yeah, not surprised at all on that one. Well, I guess might as well talk about my team really quick. I mean, I haven't talked about this team in particular in a while, but
all
yeah,
right,
I also
Black
was
Hole
focusing
Army.
on pitchers, and my team is illegal because David Festa got called up again, which is really irking me right now. He was so bad last week when he got called up. Now the Twins are gonna try to roll him out there again against Major League
Oh my.
Hitting. But yeah, the it's Jordan Alvarez and Aaron Judge and a bunch of and Marcelo Ozuna as well as you see him down there.
Oh, Zuna from the Braves getting you some major points this year.
No, did you top five barrel rate along with Aaron Judge? I'm gonna
Right,
should probably change my name to
the Barrel Hole
Barrels of
Army,
Fun or Barrel
the
Army. Yeah,
Barrel Hole Army.
barrels of beer. Oh no, we already have two beer teams, I think. Um,
Right, beer belly.
the Texas Power
Uh,
Drinkers too.
Jordan was not. What number was Jordan Alvarez in that barrel list? Like, was it 10
He
maybe? I mean,
wasn't
he's got to be
there.
up there.
He wasn't
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah,
He may not
he's
qualify yet. He's been out for a little bit, so
yeah. You telling me about it? Jesus Christ! All my
he
players
may
are
he may not he
Boba.
may not qualify.
Yeah, it's been a very disappointing season for me. I mean, I'm nine and
Well, I
six,
mean,
and I'm in
well,
the.
well,
Go ahead.
the Blue Jays. I mean,
Oh
Bo.
yeah.
It's been a disappointing season for the Blue Jays. Period. So, I mean,
Shame on
I
me.
don't think I think. I mean, I don't know who's got Vlad and who's got Springer and all those guys, but man, I know they're struggling on that on that home front. I mean, not that Vlad is a scrub or anything like that, but I mean, they keep waiting for him to be this 1,000 OPS dude, and just don't think that's going to be him anymore, man. I mean, it's what it is. He probably had his outlier season early, his second season, and it's what it is. I mean, he's no scrub. He's a great player. He's just not that tier of player that people were projecting him to be. I don't think.
Yeah, that's a shame because yeah, he had superstar potential written all over him, but I don't for whatever reason this is not working. All right, so I in the other screen, I dropped it down to 150 plate appearances. So that means the new top five is Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton,
You know, he
O'Neal.
was in my mind. I was gonna say him, but I don't think he qualified because he's been out.
but I dropped it down to 150, so now he qualifies.
Right.
O'Neal
Okay.
Cruz and Juan Soto, so too many Yankees on this top five,
Okay.
and
I mean, that's
still no Yordan Alvarez. Huh? That's a good question.
wow.
Where is he? I'll type it up in the other screen in the moment. But yeah, without getting too detailed, yeah, it's I'm looking at my team now. I like my team, but man, I somehow have turned this team into the Angels of the real life Angels with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, just a bunch of two stars
See
and a
what I
bunch
told
of
you about center field. See what I told
uh
you about center field. Center
yeah,
field is man. It's a hole in most everybody's team unless you have Trout playing center field. I mean Trout, Judge playing center field. Who else is out? Like Bellinger. I mean, Profar can play center field, but there's a huge hole in fantasy center field. I don't know why.
yeah, yeah, it's not looking good. And I forgot who I drafted for center field because I know it wasn't oh man, I can't remember. But I know I had JJ Bleday. I even picked up Michael Harris.
Yeah, I
Someone dropped
picked
Michael
up.
Harris the second, so I
Um,
picked him up
I
off
as soon
waivers.
as somebody dropped Duran the other day, and as soon as they did, I picked him up just in case Willie Castro, has a down year, has a down second half or something. But
All-Star Duran, yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes people will drop a player for because it don't fit them or anything, or somebody comes back or anything. But I'm so glad I found that center field there, just in case my center field is not doing well this second half.
So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, Dalton Varsho was my center fielder. I
Oh
was
my, another Blue Jay. Look at that. See, another
yeah,
Blue Jay.
and even this ex Blue Jay, Gabriel Moreno, not doing anything.
Gabby Moreno, yeah.
Yeah, this team sucks. Who drafted this team?
Maeda over there. Man, you had a former. Oh no, that's a
No, that was me. That was me.
Detroit.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
okay.
me. I drafted him. Wanted that veteran presence because I got Brian Wu and Bryce Miller. So
Oh, okay.
I fell in love. So I figured, well, I got the two young guys, so I better get a veteran pitcher here. I like Maeda with the Tigers coming into the season.
Well, those
Boy, that
pitchers
was
from
a mistake.
Seattle, those
Hmm?
pitchers from Seattle, Kirby, Miller, and
Yeah,
they come out really good in some of these leagues. Like Gilbert,
yeah, Logan Gilbert. I got George
Logan
Kirby as
Gilbert.
a
I had him
keeper.
last year, I think, on this league, and I think I know on another league I had him last year on another points. Like, I think it was Freddie's league, and he gave me a lot of points in that league. I came in second. So
Andres Munoz.
Andres Munoz.
Yeah,
Oh
that.
my.
So yeah. So
What happened to Eflin, man? Like Zach Eflin, that guy was a shoe in the points league.
yeah, I dropped him already. He sucks. I should have known
Man, I
better.
mean, a couple years ago, man, he was giving some major points in these
I
leagues.
know, I know. My
Baseball's a
goal,
cruel game, man.
my goal was I needed if I could get 2 out of 4 of these pitchers, I was good. And those 4 pitchers were Grayson Rodriguez, Joe Ryan, Zach Eflin, and Bryce Miller in this spot in the fourth and fifth round. Which in
Wow.
our league, I guess it would be the ninth and 10th round, but fourth and fifth round after the 5 keepers. And I ended up with both Eflin and Bryce Miller, and I was jumping for joy. And then I got the 2 closers that I wanted, and Paul Sewald and Andres Munoz, and it hasn't worked out. I mean, I gotta remind myself that I'm number one in the wild card chase, but I've been
Right.
struggling a lot lately, and it seems like everything's fizzling out. It's bottoming out, and just like you, I'll focus on one hitter. Shoot, I get well. Man, this team really sucks.
I mean, career year for Osuna. I mean, Ozuna's having a pretty good career year, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, he took it up a level. I don't know if he's, I don't know. I mean, some of these players, when all of a sudden they start, the numbers start trending where they shouldn't, you kind of like look the other way a little bit. But, innocent until proven guilty, right? So,
right.
but
Especially
he's
with him, right?
man, that
But
barrel rate's pretty good this year. I'm telling you.
I guess I'll focus on Isaac Paredes because he's been a long time favorite of mine, and it looks like the Rays are just gonna give him all the opportunities to.
Well, I had him last year. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but they were
First and
platooning
third
him.
base. Yeah.
They were platooning him last year, and that's a good spot for him because he can eat up and gobble up the left-handed pitching. It seems like this year they're giving him more chances to start as many games as as many games as possible. 15 home runs, 50 RBI, um, walks and strikeouts. He still is marvelous at controlling his strikeouts. Puts up we were bragging about the 168 isolated power from Stephen Kwan. Paredes is at 203. So he's still
203.
producing with that power. There's a lot of concerns about his StatCast numbers and some of the other things that he does, but this is a power hitter who makes a lot of contact. I'm happy with that. So I'm glad that Paredes is finally getting Viva Mexico, finally getting
Viva
the
Mexico. And for those of us that are not
what?
familiar with isolated power, that's pretty much how much of your power comes from extra base hits. So
Yeah.
you're slugging it, in so many words, Um, it's a metric that, it only takes extra base hits and the type of extra base hit into account. So he's slugging it pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything over 200 is it's really, really healthy.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, we're bragging about
any
168 from
any
Steven
any any
Kwan,
ISO any ISO over 200, and Paredes is what, 205, I think it was.
203. And
203, that's really healthy for a corner infielder. That's pretty healthy.
and 261 for Brent Rooker, that's your guy, and then 243 for Jordan Alvarez. Your other guy, Jose Miranda's at 202. So Paredes is holding his own in that regard. The StatCast numbers, like I mentioned, maybe they're not aligned with those other guys, but you know, I think this is like Paredes is just being told by the Rays, listen, man, just lift the ball in the air and good things will happen. Just lift it in the air. Do what you got to do, but lift it in the air. And yeah, he's been somewhat productive in this league. But would I like to see more output from him? Yeah, all things considered, I mean, I got Tristan Casas still injured. He's my other corner infielder. It could be a lot worse. I could do a lot worse than Isaac Paredes, so I'm happy. And the pitcher that
Yep.
I wanted to spotlight here, shoot, not I mean, all these guys are really making me angry. They've just been underperforming, especially my closers. I was really happy with my closers coming into the season. So along with Andres Munoz, Paul Sewell, I also picked up Clay Holmes, and they were racking up the points at the beginning of the season. And well, we talked about even baseball, even the dominant closers have been exposed a little bit as the season has worn
Well,
off.
even Hader. I mean, I had
Yeah.
no trouble giving Hader up because Hader was being not as dominant as he's been. And yeah, okay, fine. I mean, if you look at Hader's numbers, they're really good numbers. But I had the opportunity to grab a catcher that's going to hit for me and possibly be a keeper. I'm sending it, and I got Class A in the same team. I'm sending Hader. So it's been the tale of the season for a lot of these relievers. I mean, look at Hector Neris, for crying out
No,
loud.
yeah.
Disappointment.
Yeah. I guess I'll spotlight Ryan Pepio because I did pick him up earlier on the year, and when I like my pitchers were falling left and right, injury after injury, and I needed desperately a pitcher. So far, Ryan Pepio, 27.2% strikeout rate, um, a 1.13 WHIP. ERA is a little high, but the peripherals think that he could pitch a lot better than what he's shown so far. Only a 58.3% outside the strike zone contact rate. So hitters have a tough time with him in terms of making solid contact against him. What's his heart? Does he have a high heart hitting? Yeah. So they exit velocity of 90 miles an hour. That's a little too high. 10.1% barrel rate. That's a little concerning.
FIP is lower than the ERA. That's a good sign.
Yeah, the peripherals do
So
like him, but there is a little bit of concern. But you know what? As weak as waiver wire pitchers have been this year, I'm super happy that I was able to get Ryan Pepio. And if he can just make some adjustments here and there, he can be a pretty dominant pitcher. He's a fly ball pitcher, which it's not the end of the world, as you know, Melvin. Fly balls, you know what fly balls are when they're not home runs?
they're out.
Thank you. You got it.
They're out
Almost
when they're not home runs.
every
So if
time
you can keep them in the park, they're
I ask that
outs.
question more often than not, people don't know what I'm getting at. And so I'm glad you picked up
However,
on that.
comma space with his
Uh-huh.
hard hit rate is a cause of concern, like you did
Yeah.
say.
I'm a little concerned.
It went up from 27% last year to a whopping 41% this year.
Hmm.
So I guess the ball doesn't carry well wherever he's playing.
Tampa.
But I mean, he's getting tagged. But again, high strikeout rate, low walk rate. I mean, quote unquote low. His batting average against is higher this year than his career. Career 198, this year is 207, so not significantly higher. But then again, you combine that with his exit velocity is also higher than his career. You got some red flags there, but he'll give you some points. I think I got him on the total basis league, and
Ah, okay.
it helps me there because he also does he can also do right relief pitcher and starter on both. He
Right.
qualifies as both. So
The other thing I wanted to look at was, oh, here we go. Yeah, the fastball actually has picked up velocity this year. So I'm wondering if it's just one of those where he throws it harder, therefore hitters are going to hit it harder, which has been a theory of mine for a while now since this launch angle revolution started. But it's really hard to tell. Other than
well, I mean,
that,
you see the BABIP against him is 290, 255, right?
yeah,
So when you combine that with the fact that his FIP is lower than his ERA, then that kind of tells you a little secret there. And that kind of tells you that, his defense hasn't been necessarily there for him 100% like it
yeah,
was in the past, maybe.
yeah,
I don't
probably,
know. A lot of people, you start talking about the three true outcomes, and a lot of people go, I don't like talking about that, but it's reality. So and I know it's quote unquote boring, but it's what it is. Um, so high BABIP, FIP is lower than ERA. Maybe we need to take a couple of ground balls before he pitches. I don't know.
the only other thing I could think of is, I mean, he doesn't induce a lot of swings, so I think hitters are just sitting on that fastball. But to his credit, he's actually has seen a decrease in contact rate this season. It's career lows across the board. Well, maybe not inside the strike zone, but outside the strike zone and overall contact rate, career low. And that's with him pitching more inside the strike zone. I think that's the part of the problem is that he is now pitching inside the strike zone. So hitters are literally just sitting on that fastball because maybe he needs to work on those other pitches like the slider. And I forgot what his third
Well,
pitch
the
was.
significant difference
Hmm.
for Ryan Pepio this year has been last year people slugged 364 against him. The hitter slugs 364 against him. This year they're slugging 366. That's not a significant difference. The significant difference with Ryan Pepio comes on the on base percentage against 220 last year, 287 this year.
Yeah, the walks are
So
up this year for sure. Yeah.
a lot of like the walks have literally he went from 3% walk rate to 9% walk rate. So
Yeah.
um, there's been a lot of traffic.
I think the
So
other issue here is that he's been trying to ink. I think that since he got to the Rays, I think they basically said, "Hey, throw your slider as much as you can, along with that fastball." And when the slider's not biting, then they just hit on that fastball. It's the changeup.
that's the Corbin Burns.
Yeah,
Throw the cutter all day.
yeah.
But what if it's not if it's not working that day? Then you take the L, I guess. But you know, when you're
Uh,
Corbin Burns, that's a good hill to die on because your slider is one in how many in MLB. Your slider's so good you can get away with throwing it all. I mean, your cutter's so good that you can get away with it throwing it all the time. Now, as everybody is so, if your cutter is Corbin Burns good, throw it. But then again, Corbin Burns won a Cy Young, so not
other than
everybody has his cutter. So
Other than that, I mean, I gotta like the aggressiveness. The 51% strike inside the strike zone, that's a career high. Not necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just telling that he's willing to challenge hitters, and maybe he does get tagged up because of it. Uh, you know, some pitchers can paint the corners and pitch outside the strike zone and get away with it. Maybe the Rays want him to throw more inside the strike zone and see if hitters can catch up with it. Other than that, first pitch strikes percentage is a career high this year. Swinging strike percentage is 12.2, which that's just the same percentage as it was last season. Uh, this is the one I always have trouble with. Hold on, I got to hover over it. The called plus swinging strike percentage has been
why?
increasing since his rookie year in 2022. So there's a lot to like here. It's a mixed bag of things, but he's finally getting the opportunity to start every 5 or 6 days, which with the Dodgers, you're not going to get that opportunity because they're so loaded. So
No.
let's talk about,
I mean,
but
it's the same story with Michael Bush. You got to sometimes you got to move teams. So
yeah, let's talk about the Texas Sooner, who is the number one team by record and by these power rankings that CVS
okay,
does. I think this is the gentleman who had our friend John E. This is the guy who had all of those early round draft picks, and he was able to take advantage of it. Uh,
okay. Well,
Sooner, there he is. Mike Trout was his number one pick. I
Texas.
actually, interesting story. I actually was in negotiations to trade him Mike Trout in the offseason, but we couldn't come to terms. But why would he
I
want to
think
come
I
to
recall.
terms?
I think I recall that. Yes.
But why would he come to terms when he has 3 first round picks, 2 second round picks, 3 third round picks?
I
It's just
mean,
a
look at
ooh,
he
oh,
got Nola. I mean, he's getting major points from all these guys.
but
Nola. We got. I mean,
but look at this though. Joe Musgrove injured. Justin Verlander injured. Merrill Kelly, which is I
Merrill
hate this.
Kelly.
I hate this pick. This is so
Oh,
overrated. I don't like Merrill Kelly. But you got
you don't like
four
Merrill
guys on
Kelly?
the IL already in the first. Yeah, within the he had all these. How many picks did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's call it 13, 12. Let's call it 12. Four of those guys are on the IL at the moment. So
My.
yeah.
Well, that's been the tail. That's been the tail of pitching this year, man. Like,
Hmm.
in the real world, they're talking about all these rules, all these changes, this, that, and the other, all the ball, the ball, the spider tag, whatever, and that stuff bleeds into this.
Yeah.
So um, all these situations. I mean, Verlander is Verlander. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's got a lot of innings in that arm, man. Same
Oh
with
yeah.
Scherzer, same with all these guys, Hall of Famers, man. But it comes a time where old Yeller, right?
Yeah. Or Father Time is undefeated and things of that nature.
Right.
Uh crap, I lost my
He's got Bobby Witt Jr.,
yeah,
Juan Soto.
yeah.
Yeah, listen, man. He's gonna have a hard time picking up his key, like figuring out who to keep. Because right now, I see a bunch of I see Soto, I see Witt, I see a bunch of guys there that are really. He has Nola too. He's pitching a great year. So
Yeah, and there's the pitchers right there. We've mentioned
Seth
Corbin
Lugo, he's
Burns
got Seth
already.
Lugo. That
Yeah,
that's gotta be an out of nowhere pick. 350 points from Seth Lugo.
it's
That's an out
ridiculous.
of nowhere.
I just told Austin, like, yeah, you could drop Seth Lugo. That was back in April or May. Yeah, drop Seth Lugo. He's over it. He sucks.
So
Boy,
yeah, I
was I
mean,
wrong?
how is it? How is he gonna? I mean, yeah, he's a pretty crafty pitcher with the Mets, but Seth Lugo, I don't know. I mean, no offense, I don't know if Seth Lugo has given us 350 points the last 4 years. I mean,
I
honestly,
doubt
it's
it.
just what it is.
Not in
I
this
don't know,
league.
but he made some good calls there with Chris Sale and
I mean,
Scubal and all. There's a
this
lot of
is
keepers here.
what
There's
my
a lot of
team.
keepers here.
This is what I envision my pitching staff to look like. Except that I failed, and Johnny actually got it right with Paul Skeens.
This dude's got Grayson Rodriguez in his reserves. I mean,
Yeah,
and Nola. Those are 250 players right there. 287 and 320.
Tariq
And he's
Screwball in there as well. It's a what do you call it? A disgusting display of riches here for him.
it's yeah, he's showing off. This is a well put together team. I mean, we got
Yeah,
and Jared Jones is in the IL. So
yeah.
like my goodness. Like he's
No,
got he's
well
got
now
he's
you
got
know if
some
you want your team to look like this, you got to start tanking right now and start trading all your superstar players for first, second, third round, fourth round picks and stuff. So that's the
hey,
secret sauce right there.
it seemed to work. It seemed to work this time. So um
By the way, who do you think is having a better season in terms of Fangraphs WAR without looking, Seth Lugo or Shota Imanaga?
ooh. I don't know. Shota's been hit the past month or so.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Lugo.
Yep.
I'm gonna go.
Two
I'm gonna go recently with Lugo because now you asked me this a month and a half ago, I'd say Shota because Shota was
probably.
was was getting, but yeah, the past month Shota has been figured out a little bit. So, but I would say Lugo definitely.
Yeah, Lugo 2.7 F4 versus Shota Imanaga 2.0. So yeah,
Okay,
but
pretty
Imanaga has a
healthy on both counts, but yeah, Imanaga got figured out. Yeah,
well.
I'm gonna need him to make some adjustments,
Not
but
to toot my own horn here, but I was able to figure it out about a month or two ago when they were like talking about what is his secret. So I looked it up, and Imanaga throws like two pitches, and that's it. It's a low to mid 90, if he's lucky, mid 90s fastball, and then he throws a cutter. I believe it's a cutter, or no, or was it a
yeah,
splitter?
splitter. It's a
You know,
splitter. It's the
yeah.
Japanese pitchers. They throw the split finger. The
Well,
splitter.
yeah, I'm not sure if the lefties throw the splitter. That's why I'm kind of hesitating to say that. But let me double check that right now. I have it open on the other page, on the other screen, I should say. Okay, almost 55% fastball at 91 miles an hour, 91.8 miles an hour, which is yeah, he's a throwback, so to speak, right? Yeah, this
Right.
you're correct, sir. Splitter,
That's
32.8
about
through the
as crafty as it gets these days. That's about Showtime Managa is about as Tom Glavine as it gets these days. I guess.
and that's it.
That's about
Those
as
are his two
crafty.
pitches. He has other pitches, but he doesn't throw them with much frequency to even talk about. So it's fastball, splitter, and The splitter kind of looks like the fastball, but as you know, Melvin, the splitters dip down. So that's how he was getting away with it for so long. Just craft, location, 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 and guile and craftiness. But those pitchers don't last long compared to like, oh, I don't know, Paul Skeens, who I don't know if you saw that video where that reporter asks him. So now that teams have a big sample size of how you pitch in the majors, how you pitch in the minors, are you concerned that they're going to be adjusting to your
Bring it. Yeah.
style soon? And what did he say? Yeah,
He said,
let
bring it. Like,
bring it.
love to see him
Love
try.
to see them
Yeah.
try. Go ahead,
Yeah.
make my day.
Hey,
He can
listen,
get
when
away
you
with
can
it.
throw one or two on the lower outside corner and you can throw a power curveball like that, go ahead, hack at it, buddy. Go, try to see if nothing will give you the 8 years.
Yeah,
Go
right.
ahead.
He's
Go
gonna get
for it, bud.
he's gonna get traded to the Dodgers
Pitch
soon
your
enough.
heart out. You know what? Pitch your heart out, buddy.
Yeah, he's
And
gonna
see if
he's gonna
nothing
look
gives you the 8 years.
he's gonna look great in the Dodgers uniform at the age of 25, 26 years old. Moving on to the next
Right.
team, the Beer Badly Masters, one of the beer teams we were talking about earlier. Tim is a
Okay.
big Kansas City Royals
Creasy.
fan.
Yeah.
So we talked about Guerrero already, 269. So yeah, he's holding his own.
Oh, he's got my dude right there. I got two dudes in there we can talk about offensively.
Which one? Rafael Devers?
No, we got. I mean, everybody knows Devers, but Heliot Ramos, man,
Oh God.
this dude,
Yeah, yeah. I messed up
Heliot
there.
Ramos, and woke up with Grimace, Brandon Nimmo. He's got two guys in there that, man, Nimmo. I had my eyes on him. I don't know how I missed him, but I picked him up in the other league that I'm at, and in the other points league that I'm in, man.
Yeah.
And ever since a month and a half ago, when that dude uh, woke up, he's giving some mad points here. Him and Heliot Ramos, man, that's my dude. Puerto Rico. There's an interview with him and Baseball Cosmos in the Caribbean series if y'all want to go check it
Oh,
out.
nice.
But he's hitting second for the Giants, and hitting home runs in San Francisco is not an easy task. Uh,
Yeah, and shame on me.
so
This is a guy I've been kind of keeping an eye on for years now, and just his prospect stock just went down. He started losing speed. The Giants were not seeing him as a center fielder anymore. They were making him play corner outfield, and as you know, if you play corner outfield, you're a failure because it's either shortstop or center field. Those are your cornerstone position players that you're trying to get.
position, yeah, your
Yeah,
franchise players.
like Pete Crow Armstrong, great center fielder, but he can't hit, right? At least that's
Well,
the book on him. Yes, I am
well,
aware
I
that
mean, and
he
that's
go ahead.
Kevin Kiermaier, man. That's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's. I mean, that's not a bad player to have, but are you going to build a championship team around him? I don't think so. But
No, you have
he's a
to
really good. He's a good crafty player. He's a good center fielder to have. I mean,
no, you would have
it
to
proves it's proven
compliment.
that if you have really good defense on catcher, center field, second base, and shortstop, your team is going to prevent a lot of runs.
Yep.
So there's a spot for players like PCA, Kevin Kiermaier, and all that. I don't know if you can build a franchise around them.
It's hard. You have
Uh,
to really compliment those players with some stuff. Like, well, that's what the Blue Jays were trying to do with Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette, and I forgot the other guys that they used to have, like Matt Chapman, I guess, for a little bit.
Biggio. By the way,
Well, yeah,
isolated power for Heliot Ramos, 233
that's
in
ridiculous.
San Francisco.
I'm really
In
mad
San
at
Francisco.
myself.
Well, a lot of balls they do end up being doubles in that field in that valley. Average exit velocity 92.3, hard hit
Hmm.
percent
Man,
53%.
he was right there for me.
So
I had a chance to get him, and that would have
and
solved a lot of my problems. And the red
so
flags at that point, high strikeout rates and contact rates were really low. And at some point, I just have to let go of the contact rate and just. But the problem with contact rates is if you're not hitting, you're swinging and missing, and negative points from strikeouts, and that leads to more slumps. So that's my concern. I'm always looking for long term and not short
yeah,
term.
he does
But
have a
man,
high strikeout rate, 26% to the league's 22%.
yeah. So
But
yeah,
man, he's got a lot of extra base hits in that 233 ISO.
so yeah,
That's
it's
that's
it's
that's
about
pretty. To anything above 240 is starting to get serious.
it's
So
about finding that little balance, right? It's about finding like, yeah, you want a guy with a lot of contact, but you're sacrificing, right? If you get a guy with lots of contact, you're not gonna get as much explosiveness. But at the same time, if you get a guy who doesn't have a lot of contact, but he's producing in other ways, like hitting bombs, home runs, doubles, triples, and all that, then it's worth it. It's worth giving up the contact rate for that type of explosivity off your bat. But man, I couldn't bring myself to do it. And now you saw me. I got Leo Taveras right now, hoping that he can be a thing at center field for me. Anyway, Mason Wynn, that's another guy I mentioned earlier this season. He was owned in less than 50% of CBS leagues. He's finally coming onto his own. Let's move on to quickly to
Yes.
the pitching staff.
Alec Bohm, heck of a year coming out party finally after all the comps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, not never been a big fan of Alec Bohm, but yeah, it seems like he's
I never
finally
liked him either.
putting
I
it
never.
together
He
this year.
always struck me as a high on base. I mean, a high slug, low on base guy. And
Yeah.
I don't know. He put it together. I mean, I don't know if he's taking over for Riley as the best third baseman in the National League
Oh
anytime soon. I
God,
guess, but
then
I
we're in
mean,
trouble.
he if he many years like this, I don't know. It might be a down year for Riley too. Him and Olsen, I don't know what's going on with them, but
And with we different show for that one. 825 ops for Alec Bohm, which I've never seen it that high before for him. Anyway, moving on to the pitching staff here. Garrett Cole is the anchor for this rotation. There's Logan Gilbert, Ryan Helsley, the closer, Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Oh, there's my guy Joe
Gil and
Ryan.
Rodon on the
Oh,
same team. Ooh,
ugh, man, kicking myself.
Rodon and Hale on the same team.
Yeah.
That's either gone really good or really like I'm sure that team has had really good weeks and really bad weeks. I don't know what's going on with Hill lately, and Rodon's always been, the White Sox passed on him on his health. So,
Hmm.
I mean,
Let's move on to Kerry's team. That's the guy who beat me, which I don't know if you saw the power ranking
Mac Attack.
article. What they call it the luckiest win of the season. Like, yeah, he faced my team, so
Oh
of
my,
course he pulled the win out of his butt like he always does against my team. I mean,
the
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 worst.
horseshoe, the horseshoe.
Oh my God, yeah, you must have given it to him or something, right? But the worst part is
Yeah,
that he lives right here in the city. Like we're not. Yeah, he lives in the outskirts of the city, but I know where he lives. He knows where I live. Actually, he doesn't know where I live yet, but I know where he lives. We see each other, and I got to see his stupid, ugly face, and he's like giving me that stupid smile of his, and oh, good guy though, but God, he annoys
yeah.
me. His team's not better than my team. His teams are never better than my team, and he always pulls off these stupid victories. Anyway, Vinny Pasquantino,
Yeah, Vinny P, man, he's Royals.
yeah, a good bounce
Look
back
at De
here
La
from him.
Cruz.
Ellie De La
It's
Cruz,
all the
oh
stolen bases, isn't it? With him, with Ellie, it's gotta be all
This-
them stolen bases.
he is something else, man. Well, he also has like close to 20 home runs, I think, right?
I believe so.
I honestly don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
But
they were tracking they were tracking a really like healthy 30-30 for him like early on. Um, he's got
uh
45 stolen bases and 15 home runs. So
yeah,
yeah, I think 30-30 is pretty much a given. Uh,
31% strikeout rate though. Is that a concern for you?
in this league, yeah, because I mean a 144 with 3 Ks and a home run is not much. So I mean it's that's but again, I mean it's not affecting him much because he's stealing all those bases. He's on pace for almost 85 stolen bases,
Yeah.
this dude. So
Yeah.
I mean, in this league, you go 144 with a home run, 2 Ks, a ground out, and a stolen base, then you're gonna put up a healthy number that day. So and he's got to have over 300 points, right? 333. There you go. See,
Yeah.
so
Nice little trio of young outfielders in Wyatt Langford, Julio Rodriguez, Jackson Chirio. I believe he also has Evan Carter.
Julio Rodriguez has been kind of off this year,
That's
hasn't he?
the reason why I was happy to trade him away, and I was able to get Aaron Judge in that one year where I made like 20 million trades in one season, which is a
Right.
record for me.
I had him at some point. I know I had him at some point. I gave him. I think it was for pitching that I gave him up for pitching. Some of these. I think I ended up with. I think I ended up with Class A in that trade. I'm not sure. I
Well,
traded
in this
Julio for
league?
someone
In this
in
league?
this league. Yeah, I had Julio at
No.
some point.
Oh,
At some point, I
maybe.
had Julio.
I thought, oh, right, because I think it must have been in the offseason. Yeah, because I know there was a history between Kerry and I. I was trying to trade him J
Yeah,
Rod
at
and
some point I had Julio, but man, I mean, 207 points. Yeah, it's pretty healthy, obviously,
right,
but
because you took
I
over
mean, we
for
were we were we were counting on Julio Rodriguez to have 260, 270 points by now. But
yeah,
so
because you took over for Matt Bushnell, my friend there, and I
yes,
traded him J Rod, and then you traded him away to Steve, who wanted him in the first place. But there was a lot of red flags with J Rod. The strikeouts were pretty high, low contact rate, very explosive bat, but there was like And I had him last year,
Whatever
and
war he has this year is from the defense, really, because his
yeah,
offense has been
center
very,
field.
very. It's yeah. I mean, whatever he's got. I think he's got a baseball reference WAR of 1.4. So whatever he's done, I mean, with the OPS plus at 92, all that has been defense. And um, I mean, the hard hit rate has gone down for Julio, but I don't see much. That's the large difference. The hard hit rate has gone down, which has caused the isolated power to
Mm,
go from 209 to 0.98.
yeah, playing
So
in Seattle is not making doing him any favors either.
he's just not hitting the ball as hard as he once did. That's obviously sounds like an oversimplification of things, but
Man,
he's got to go back to that exit velocity and that raw power of getting a lot of doubles and a lot of home runs.
looking at his pitching staff, it seems like it's a lot of guys that we've talked about on this podcast almost exclusively, like Nick Lodolo, Taj Bradley, Freddie
Touch
Peralta,
Bradley,
Tanner Hook, Hunter Green.
Hunter
Hunter,
Green, and Luis Castillo in the
nice
same
little
spot.
bounce back year for Hunter Green. He's finally pitching up to the way we were expecting him to. Um, yeah, the guy with the 100 mile per hour fastball, but
Who
could
you
never
take?
command of it. Go
Who
ahead.
you taking out? Who you take if you need a pitcher? Him or Andrew Abbott?
I would rather go with Hunter Green and take my chances with him. He's the cornerstone starting pitcher. He's the frontline rotation of the future. Hunter Green is. I would take, and he's the one with the big arm and the big strikeout. So Hunter
He's a
Green all
true
day.
one. He's a
I
true one. You say
potentially.
there's very few true ones out there. I think him, Skeens, and Cole, obviously, but a true one, there's very few true SP ones out there right now. And
Yeah,
uh,
he's little by little
that dude,
playing up to speed. Yeah.
Hunter Green, has the potential to be a true SP1.
Yeah, we're all hoping, man. We've been patiently waiting, and maybe Steve might have finally gotten that. Let's move on to Mike's team, Balls Out, which is another guy who likes to rack up the early round draft picks. How many did he have this year? I'm just gonna quickly check. Um,
Three first
oh
round picks.
no. Oh, okay. So yeah, he no second rounder, two fourths, two fifths, two
Oh,
ninths.
Yoshi.
Yeah. So let's look at his team now. So he usually has all those early round picks, but he ceded that title to John E. And John E showed him how it's done. We
Did
haven't talked we talked about Austin
I
Riley.
think
There it is. Austin Riley.
I saw I saw that he had Christian Walker at some point, and now I see Pete Alonso in there. What
Yeah,
happened to Christian Walker?
who knows? I think he's with John E's team now. And by the way, Mike
Oh, okay.
he loves making trades. So don't get too
Okay.
attached
I
to those
mean, you
players.
got. I mean, that's why we play. We play the trade around and everything.
Yeah.
Disappointing Corbin Carroll, man. Man,
See, at the big
total disappointment. I mean, I don't know if it's a sophomore slump this year or what, but
I listen
it
to
happens.
a lot of podcasts, and I even asked Corey, our guy Corey Decker, about it. Hey, a lot of these podcasts are saying that he's dealing with some shoulder injury or some sort. Is there any truth to that? And Corey said, no, he looks fine to me. And next thing you know, yeah, he's hitting what 210, a 77 WRC plus, which means he's about 30% less than league average at this season, which for a guy of his caliber, that's kind of strange to say out loud. Really quick.
It's very strange because I mean last year, for instance, I mean I just like to look back at the power's gone. That's the first thing that strikes you. The power's gone. He's pulling the ball less,
Hmm.
so they
So,
may have learned how to pitch him.
or
I
maybe he
mean
really
the
is
pull,
injured.
or maybe he really is injured because he's like, why would he if he had a pull rate last year of 35%, right? He had a
Hmm.
pull rate of 30 last year, 35%, which resulted in a strikeout percent of 19. This year, his strikeout percent is less, and he's pulling the ball less, and his power is gone.
Yeah.
So
He's
that just doesn't happen.
yeah, he's making up for it with
That
more contact. That's what the problem is.
like he just the isolated power went from 221 to 107. Hard hit balls, I mean, from 41 to 37, I mean, it's not a considerable difference. It's some of a difference, but it's not a considerable difference. The biggest difference on him is like he's stopped pulling the ball, and when you I mean, obviously, you don't want to always pull the ball, but the fact that he's not pulling the ball, the exit velo's down, and the ground ball percents are down. Again, use all those. You never want to use one stat to tell you the whole story, but you
Right.
use all that, and it kind of shows you a picture of what's going on. Rumors about him being hurt might have some validity to it because if he's not pulling the ball no more and the exit velo's down and the power's gone without the strikeouts, I mean he's I mean the strikeout percent, the strikeout rate is actually he's striking out less this year.
Yeah, like
He's actually striking out less this year.
yeah, it just seems like he's making up for something. Like the power is gone, but he's increasing the contact rate and lessening the strikeouts. That's a pretty red flag right there. That either he's trying to make some sort of adjustment that the team told him to do, or he's really hurt. I know, like I said, the podcast we're talking about him having some shoulder injury, but again, my guy Corey said, no, there's nothing wrong with him. What are you talking about? Maybe he was hurt this whole time and he's playing through it, and these are the results. So yeah, that is huge disappointment for anybody who was hoping that Corbin Carroll would be the pinnacle player for their fantasy teams, especially in dynasty and
He's
keeper
actually hitting
leagues.
the ball. He's just not hitting the ball in the air. The fly ball percent went from 24 to 16. That's a
Yeah,
considerable difference.
that's yeah.
So fly
So
ball
yeah,
percent goes from 24 to 16. Ground ball percent goes from 42 to 46. Exit velocity is down and he's pulling the ball less.
no,
Ta-da!
it sounds like he's hurt, man.
I mean, how often? I mean, yeah, we see sophomore slumps. We see sophomore slumps,
Not like
but
this though.
not like this.
This is ugly.
Not like this. This is I mean, I would probably say this kid's probably hurt. But
That's what I'm thinking.
yeah, that this kid's probably hurt, and uh well, we'll have to see how it unfolds. I mean, he did get signed, so he may be compelled to play. You know how things he is signed.
Yeah,
It's not like he's on his rookie contract. This kid is extended and signed.
right.
So an expectation to be out there does come with it.
Yeah, he's a
But
gamer. He's a gamer for sure.
yeah, he's toughing it out. That's just to say that. Then it could also be he's not hurt. He's just growing pains. Next year he puts an MVP season. Who
Yeah,
knows? These
but
kids.
yeah, assuming that he's healthy, yeah, for sure.
For
This is
sure.
a tough one. Matt McClain. I had a tough choice between him and Ha-Sung Kim. I went with Ha-Sung Kim, and I guess Mike went ahead, immediately picked up Matt McClain right after Kim got picked by me. I like to think that I made the right choice by going with Ha-Sung Kim. McClain has been hurt for the entirety of the season, I guess.
Oh yeah,
They got Jackson Holiday as well. Over at the pitching
in the
side,
minors. Yeah.
Mr. No Hitter, Ronel Blanco.
Oh, Ronald Blanco.
Yeah. Other than
Yeah,
that,
he's
his
got Justin Steele there. Yeah, he's hitting. Yeah, he's
man,
pitching. I'm sure those hitters are carrying him
yeah, it's a
because
lot of
all
injuries
these.
here. Yeah,
I mean, Justin Steele just came back, had just got his first win of the year this past like a couple days ago. So
right. Let's go move over to
ah,
Primo's team, South Jersey Strong
Primo.
Arms. Uh, Ranked number 6 in the power rankings. Wilson Contreras. Is he back? Wilson's back? Oh
Yeah, he's
no.
back.
Oh
He's back.
man.
He actually took off. Like
Uh,
he's I would have him starting right now if you don't have a catcher. Wilson,
yeah.
Wilson's back.
All right. But Bryce Harper's hurt with a hand
Oh
injury.
my, yes.
He picked up a really good move on him picking up Noelvi Marte.
Oh yeah.
May not show right now, but I am a big believer in Noelvi Marte. So
Well, I
uh
mean, if he served his suspension, now he's coming back, and let him play.
Primo's a big Phillies fan, so you're gonna see a lot of Phillies players. There's not
A lot of
Castellanos, Trey
Bryson Stott
Turner.
here.
Yeah. That one hurts.
Oh
Ronald
my, that
Acuna.
hurts.
Yeah,
Yeah, that hurts.
that sucks.
That's definitely. I'm sure he was counting on that guy. Yeah, he ended up with Hader. He's the one that gave me Primo, the one that gave me Rushman.
Oh, interesting. Oh, and then he got
Yeah,
Wilson
so he
Contreras. Hmm.
yeah, he's the one that ended up with Hader. So
Interesting. There,
Mason Miller, Pablo Lopez. What an enigma this year, huh? Like I don't.
yeah.
Pablo Lopez is one of those unsolvables to me.
That's why because Primo and I were also in talks for me to acquire Pablo Lopez. And I just, at the end, I just got cold feet and said, nah, I'm fine. I don't need him. I'll be fine. So Pablo Lopez, 28% strikeout rate, 5.3 walk rate, good for a strikeout to walk ratio of 5.27, but it comes with a 5.18 ERA. But the peripherals love him. They think he should be pitching much better than what he's shown so far. He also comes with a 1.19 whip, so there is some promise there. But like you said, it's an enigma. It's a mixed bag of things. Other than that, I mean, contact rates are low. He's inducing plenty of swings. Call it bad luck, man. Just call it bad luck and hope for the best
Well, I
later.
mean, so the story's there yet again. I mean, yeah, you got the guy with the FIP of 382. Now, is that gonna win you a FIP of 382 gonna win you a Cy Young award? More than likely not.
No, because
But
Spencer Strider couldn't win it last year. So why should Pablo Lopez? There, I'm not bitter or
right,
anything about it.
so I mean, but when there's a considerable difference between FIP and ERA, but that's not gonna tell. I mean, yeah, that's some of it, but that's not gonna tell all of it. I mean, he's still that's what my puzzle with Pablo Lopez is, that the strikeouts are still there. He's not walking as much people as he's actually walking less people. He's striking out 29% to 28%. It's really not that big a difference. He's walking less people. The exit velocity is only 1 mile per hour higher, but again, he's getting hit hard. He's getting hit at 39% hard hit rate versus 34% last year, and they're just dropping because when you get hit hard, a lot of those are going to find holes, and I mean, a lot of them are going to drop.
So I have a list of six pitchers that I'm keeping track of as we're talking. Seth Lugo, Shota Imanaga, Hunter Green, Ryan Pepio, Blake Snell, and Pablo Lopez. Of the six pitchers there, Lopez has the highest home run per 9 innings at 1.55. So maybe that's the big problem, is the home run ball is affecting him too
Yeah.
negatively. And that's it. That's all
Well,
I got. I
he's
got nothing else for you.
well, 380. Well, that's got to be it because again, the batting average against last year 238, this year 251, not considerable. 292 to 294 on the on base percentage, but here's the large difference is in the slugging.
Mm.
Slugging against 385 last year, this year is 433.
Ooh,
There's the difference.
above
A lot of those
400.
hard balls are finding the fence and are falling for hits.
So there, we cracked the case.
So
Lopez is giving too many extra base hits.
I mean, he's like you said, there's a lot of bad luck there because he's actually striking out as many. His strikeout percentage higher than league average. League average 22.7%. His average is 28%. Career is 25%. So he's actually striking out more people than his career average. He's walking less people than his career average. His FIP is a whole run and a half almost lower than his ERA. But the one thing that's the difference is he's getting hit harder, and the evidence dictates those hard hit balls are finding some holes for more than one base.
And then quickly, let's move on to Texas Power Drink. There's our champion right here. And
Oh,
I don't know if
power
you
drink.
remember,
Okay.
but Texas um,
Shane.
Shane Clark, he won the championship last year with nothing but closers. He missed the draft last year, and the
Oh my.
Autobot picked a bunch of closers, and that's what got into the dance, and that's what got on the champions. He has the other Contreras brother,
All right.
William Contreras, at catcher. We
Well,
talked about
okay.
Freddie Freeman, uh, 318 points so far. That has to be the leader.
Talking
Yep.
about Ian Happ too. Look at Teoscar go, man. You gotta give him a shout out. Teoscar Hernandez.
Well, you go ahead.
Nice little shout out there.
And yeah, and despite all that, he does have a losing record, I believe, and he is the seventh best team. Nice little team there, but I just saw that he got James Woods as well. But yeah, it's some big name, Joshua Lowe.
Joshua
Uh,
Lowe.
yeah, some big names here.
Look at
But
your boy Jake Berger there, man. When the
yeah,
Whites
Jake Berger.
former White Sox.
Yeah, I would have cut him a
No
long time
minors.
ago.
Okay.
Probably pitchers.
Let's
No,
see.
so maybe he doesn't like anybody that
Ricky
much.
Tiedemann.
Yeah, Blue Jays. He was my number one prospect coming into this season. I believe it
Taijuan
was either him or
Walker. No
Daniel
pitching.
Espino. Yeah, Taiwan Walker sucks. I don't know why he's still on the team. Devin Williams. I mean, obviously you gotta stick around with him. But yeah, Jordan Romano's hurt, so that's gonna affect him. Guys that carried him to the
Mitchell
dance.
Parker.
He's
I have
having a
that guy in another league. Mitchell
decent
Parker. He gives me some decent points in another
decent
league.
year this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tanner Bybee might be no Sonny Gray is the best pitcher based on points.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sonny Gray. Yeah.
Gray. Gray and probably then Parker. Or Raisel Iglesias. He's got it. Got
Oh yeah,
pretty good.
269 points, yeah. But yeah, the pitching is what's letting him down, and a bunch of the hitters too. The hitters are not like Ozzy Albies. I know he's been struggling.
Elsie Albies and Alex Bregman in a contract year.
Yeah, that's yeah, bring back the trash cans for that guy. Seriously.
I
Uh,
mean, yeah, man, these guys, man, they've been around for a minute. You know what happened? Father Time always wins. So,
Plus,
but
pitchers have a better idea how to pitch to you and all that. Let's go move over to Rocket City Trash Pandas. That's Austin's team.
Austin,
Good friend of the
it's
show.
me, Austin.
That's me all along. So I
It's
I
me,
had
Austin.
Logan
Frankie
O'Hoppe.
Lindor.
Hold on, interesting story here. I had Logan O'Hoppe, and then you dropped for Alvarez eventually, and then I picked them up, but I had to drop O'Hoppe. But then, the Angels fan, Austin that he is, he picks up Logan O'Hoppe. So the merry-go-round of catchers is alive and well in this league.
Well,
Who
and
did you
that's why I
just?
wanted. That's why when Primo threw a Rushman at me,
Mhm.
that's the I ain't got to worry about that position for 3 or 4 years. That's the way I see it.
Yeah,
Because even if let's say Rushman, like there's 3 or 4 catchers that if you got them, like him, Will Smith, if you got them, you got to worry about that big hole in the lineup. And sometimes, man, some weeks I lose if my catcher would have done something when I didn't have Rushman. So, that's that merry-go-round of catchers. When you got one that you can keep, I pulled the trigger for him. So
yeah.
he's got
Steve,
Kwan there. We talked
there,
about
we just
Kwan
mentioned
earlier.
him a lot. Bryce, I gotta mention Bryce Terang too. Major breakout season. A lot of people, a lot of fantasy experts, giving up on him. The former first round pick for first round selection. I forgot what year it was, but Bryce Terang, uh,
Bryce Terang, yeah,
at one point the top prospect for the Brewers,
former
if memory
Nashville
serves.
Sound.
Oh,
No,
look at that! Look at that!
yeah, former Nashville Sound, Bryce Terang. So
I think you mentioned
South
Riley
Free Lake
Green.
too. Him
Yeah,
and him and Free Lake played together there
that's right. Yeah.
in in Nashville.
So I think you
So
mentioned Riley Green already.
Riley Green, yeah, having a great season.
Turning out that he might be the better of the two between him and Spencer Torkelson up in Detroit. And
I don't know
yeah,
what's with Torque, man. I tried believing in him and I drafted him a couple of years in a row, but I mean, you know what happens to that guy.
yeah, nobody knows what's wrong with him. Nobody. Like the eye test
Maybe
people.
many are the called,
I'm sorry,
many are
what?
the called, few are the elected. So I guess
There's Fernando
nowadays.
Tatis on the injured list, so that might be the thing that might because that's a nice little team that Austin has here. So if Tatis gets back healthy, maybe that might be the big turning point. Maybe we'll see a second half surge from Austin's hitters. I tried, golly, I tried to acquire Jordan Lawler from him this past offseason and late last year, and he won't let go of him. And now, no, he's hurt. He's hurt.
He likes
Yeah,
him. Like there's a
hamstring.
lot to like in that kid. I like I
Yeah,
like I like Lawler. He's him. I don't give up on him yet. I won't give up on Holiday yet.
yeah,
Um, I won't give up on Max Clark. I think that's my rookie, Max Clark. I like those kids. I like those kids that are made, kind of like in that that frame of player. But no, I saw Riley Green on his team real quick. I wanted to say something about him real quick. Riley Green last year, Riley Green, the big difference this year. The
hmm
big difference this year for Riley Green is the fly ball percent went from 21.8 to 30.2, and the line drive percent went from 28 to 20, which has resulted in an ISO increase from 159 to 234.
yeah.
Again,
That'll work.
hit the ball hard in the air, you're gonna get more than likely gonna get more than one base.
I mean, and that's
So
why when people complain like, the launch angle's ruining baseball. Why can't they just do? Why do they have to teach them to hit for power, not for hits? Because the stats show that when you hit the air, when you hit the ball with more authority and with a really uh, with the correct launch angle and you hit it in the air, uh, good things should be happening to these hitters.
and
You
if you
can
do it
produce more,
consistently, those balls are gonna drop for extra base hits.
and it creates more
And
runs. I mean, that's just it's
that's
as simple as
that's
it
been
gets.
yeah, that's been the difference. That's been the difference for guys like Riley Green, and the strikeout percent he brought it down, but again, not significantly. It's two. Next year, he brought it down 2% from 27 to 25. Next year, he might be 29, but if he keeps hitting the ball in the air like he is, and not and with the authority that he is, because his exit velo is above league average. League average is 88. His is 91. So above average exit velo plus the fly ball percent goes up and the line drive percent goes down, resulting in a 3.6 WAR through 94 games.
Pitchers. Does he have anybody worth mentioning at the pitching? Craig Kimbrell, who I've been
Craig Kimbrough in a
booing the last three
17th comeback
seasons.
year. Logan Webb. He's got Logan Webb. I had him
Man,
last year too. I think Austin. That was one of his first picks. Logan Webb.
you're probably right about that. I
Yeah,
think
I
you're
had.
right.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
he's
had to let him go. I had to let him go. It was between him, Classe, and all those guys, and Logan Webb was the one. It hurt me to let him go because he gave me some really good points last year.
some that's a pretty decent pitching stat, but it does lack some youth. David Peterson, maybe that might be considered youthful, but no, he's been in the league for a while.
Michael
Just
Waka still
yeah, he was. I
still
drafted
doing his
him, then
thing a little
dropped
bit.
him, and I guess I might have dropped him too soon. How's he doing this year? Uh,
30,
yeah, yeah,
83rd ranked pitcher. I mean,
not bad,
not too
not
bad.
bad. Guess I should have.
He's been in the league, what, 12 years now? 12, 13 years
Guess I
almost.
should have kept him around a little longer. I could use a guy like Michael
Right.
Walker at this point. But yeah, a lot of veterans on this pitching staff, which is we just
Maybe
saw
Ovaldi
lots of veterans. Like
still
we
there.
just saw teams
But
with
yeah,
like
his best pitcher is Craig Kimbrell. Look at that.
yeah.
Like he's still like the guy's a Hall of Famer. I know we're not having a Hall of Fame talk, but you're gonna have a hard time convincing me that Craig Kimbrell's not a Hall of Famer with his peak. But we
And then
shall pick that up another day, of course.
your team number one in your division, but tied for eighth in the power rankings. How do you feel about that?
Well, like I said, that's been it's indicative of real life baseball. His strength of schedule has helped me out. And I've 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 made the moves that have positioned me to make a run, kind of like as an 83 win team would in the postseason in the real world of baseball. So
Let's go to the let's go to the commissioner's team really quick. Then Castroville, big Houston
I
Astros
got
fan.
Edmondson.
Yeah, as soon as my there it goes. Jordan Westberg is a guy I've been liking for a
He
long
picked
time
up Ben
now.
Rice. Look at that.
Yeah, he picked up Ben Rice. Uh,
Christopher Morel. I want to believe in that kid, but man,
yeah, well, Robert's gonna give him a spin in the wheel, but yeah, I like what he did here with Jordan Westberg and Gunnar Henderson. Shows me
yeah,
that he's
To me, Gunnar Henderson has to be very close to the highest scoring player in the league, right?
I'm sorry, the highest what?
The highest scoring player would that be Henderson this year?
Good question. I'm not sure. Let's find out.
I mean, he's leading in Fangraphs WAR, so it would
Yeah,
not surprise me if Henderson is the best, is the
that's
highest scoring player.
that is something people ask me all the time. Like, do any of these fancy schmancy numbers translate to fantasy success? And I like to believe it does. But in terms of war, it's hard to say that it does or not. Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Bobby Witt Jr., Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. Oh, wait.
Yeah, Gunner's
No, no,
number
no, no, no,
seven.
no, no, no. That's not,
Yeah.
those are projections for this upcoming week. Sorry
Oh,
about
okay.
that.
Year
All
to
right, year
date,
to date. Gunnar Henderson is number three, but
number
Shohei
three. Look at
Ohtani,
that.
Aaron
See?
Judge in the top three right there.
I'm telling you, man, that kid. I should have pulled the trigger on him, man, because
Yeah,
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 look at J Ram, Jose Ramirez, man. I really hope he wins the MVP at least. I know it's kind of hard with Judge in there, man,
yeah.
but
That's not
let me
happening.
tell
No.
you, man, how the Yankees are trending and how the Guardians are trending, and I'm a little old school voting for MVPs, and I know it sucks taking team success into account, but sue me, I right now would give it to J Ram, man, because I mean, it's what it is, and I know it's going to be Judges to lose or
Yeah,
whatever, but
yeah, absolutely.
it's what it is, man.
Well, that's yeah, but I like what Robert did with both Westbrook and Henderson here. Um,
Jackson
Jack,
Merrill.
yeah, he
He's got a pretty decent. That's a pretty decent center fielder for the epidemic that's of center fielders that there is in the
yeah.
league.
Of
So
the three Jacksons, Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio, and Jackson Holiday, who would have thought that Jackson Merrill might have been the best player for this season? It's crazy.
yeah, I mean, it might not be the same story in a couple of years, but
Probably not.
I mean, of the three, I don't know, man. Of the three, my horse is Churio. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I like Churio. Yeah.
He's got. I mean, I hate to say the eye test, man, but the little scout in me, man, looks at. I mean, I look at the kid, man. I think it's of the three, it might be Churio. I don't know.
Moving on, Randy Rosarena, really having an
Ugh,
awful year this year.
rough year,
But you know that means,
I think that's that's one of the most biggest disappointments this year is Rosarena,
but
man.
you know what that means? That means he's gonna go on a second half tear like nobody's business.
Well,
He's gonna go on a
he might find
streak.
himself in this starter. What's he got? Oh, Kevin Gossman, another. little bit of a rough year there.
Yeah, and that might be his best pitcher by default. I don't care that Jake Irvin
Maybe
has
Jake
271
Irvin. I mean,
points.
and
No,
and I have him in the I think I got him in the categories league, but
the podcast league.
you know, yeah, he'll win you a game or two. So, but it's the categories league. So,
Right. And
Michael King,
yeah, Jake Irvin, hold
pretty
on.
good season there.
Jake Irvin's not a keeper player, so I don't care how many points he scores this
Oh
year.
no,
Yeah,
Jake Kevin is not a keeper, but I mean, I don't think he needs to keep any of the like. I don't know what the deal is with Framber Valdez. I don't know. I don't know if any of those pitchers are keepers. To be quite honest with you, his keepers might be more on the
on the
offensive
hitting side.
side.
Yeah, yeah.
But
He's gonna have, but he's an Astros fan, so Valdez, he's gonna have a hard time saying
what's
no to
Eric
him.
Fetty doing on the bench, man?
He's
Eric Fetty.
playing. I don't know. Let's
I don't know
see.
why he's doing. I would put him in. I put Eric Fetty in.
Let's see.
He pitched yesterday. He had a pretty good game yesterday.
Who they played?
Look, one,
Oh,
two,
the
three. Look at
Twins.
that.
Oh,
Look,
that's
one, two,
why.
three,
Here,
four, five, six, seven, eight. How many consecutive
here.
quality starts? Like three or four there. Look, go up a little bit. You got like
Where?
three or four.
Oh, here.
Yeah, go up. One, two, three, four, five consecutive. One, two, three, four, five consecutive
No, it's four out of his last five
quality
games.
starts.
Four out of his last five games have been quality starts. Um, yeah. So
Okay, that's pretty.
I got it. Fetty was facing the Twins and Bailey Ober.
Oh, okay.
So he has both of those guys on his team. So he had to pick one. I think he felt like he had
Pick
to pick
one,
one
yeah.
because yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of odd to have to do that, but
yeah, it
um,
sucks
it
because
sucks having to do that. Yeah, I
yeah,
like
because
Palante. I like that kid.
Andre
Palante. He's
Palante of the Cardinals.
yeah, I like him.
I see him
He's
a
got
lot.
he's got he's got he's got a pretty good speed, and I like him. I mean, I wouldn't say he's wow all that, but I like him for a point league. I don't know.
And Robert Suarez
Robert
finally getting
Suarez,
some notoriety here. 22 saves for your San Diego Padres. I've been really
177 ERA, 300. Wow.
been really high on him for the last couple of years, so I'm really happy to see that he's flourishing. Let's move up, but it's still not enough for Castro. He has a lot of good players on that team, but it's not adding up to wins for him for some odd reason. Although no, he's in the playoff hunt. I'm sorry, he's in the playoff hunt. He's about a
Oh
game
yeah,
behind me.
he's in my division. Edmondson, he's on my division.
Right, he's a game, maybe two games behind you, right?
Yeah, just one game.
Just
Who
one
we have
game.
here? Texas Sooner. I
Let's
believe so. Yeah.
let's
Let's
find
see.
out.
Texas
Uh,
Sooner.
yeah, two games, two
Oh, two
games.
games. Two
Yeah, you're
games.
on a
Yeah.
three-game winning streak, but I see Robert's team and like, man, this team is trash. But he's 8-7 right there with Beer Belly, who's up there in the rankings. So let's
Oh
move
yeah,
on.
a lot of times it's the matchup, man.
Oh yeah,
You run into like again, you could run, then you run into somebody that hangs 400 points on you in 1 year, like on one like the other day. Who was it? Primo that hung like 400 on somebody on somebody.
disgusting.
So
Yeah.
that was
Uh,
that was filthy, man. Hey, getting 400 hung on you, that's rough. It's what it is. With my luck, I scored 380 that week.
Going to Houston now, Houston Steelers, Steven's team, the other Steven in the league.
Oh, Andrew Vaughn, what could have been?
Not a lot of good players here, except for Manny Machado.
Andrew Vaughn, what could have been? Hey, Carlos Correa came nice little comeback this year.
Yeah, Christian
Him and
Yelich.
Yelich. Hey, you like
Yeah.
Yelich? You're a Yelich dude.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was for a while, for a minute there, for a long time. Brendan Doyle coming out of nowhere for the Rockies. Brian
Brian Reynolds,
Reynolds.
that's pretty solid right there. That's a
Yeah,
pretty solid outfield right there.
yeah.
Reynolds, Doyle, and Yelich. That's pretty solid outfield there.
And then just like me in the podcast league, he also has benchmark as Simeon because he has not done anything in the past month or so. Nothing.
Yeah,
Over
Simeon's been rough this year. Oh, Carter Crawford.
Yeah, big
That
fan.
guy's really good for some points. That guy's really like sometimes when your pitchers have had a rough going, that Carter Crawford can get you through the finish line. I
Uh
like him.
and speaking of you spoke about Craig Kimbrell, but Kenley Jansen, give him
Kenley
some
Jansen.
flowers. I've been
Yes.
between him, Kimbrell, and Jansen, I've been saying that these guys were done for like the last 3 or 4 seasons, but no, I would kill to have Kenley Jansen's production on it with any of my closers.
They're like
So
little whack-a-moles, they pop out wherever,
yeah,
Like,
Felipe doesn't know what he's
uh,
talking about. He's been predicting the downfall of Craig Kimbrell and Kenley Jansen the last 3 years. Get out
well,
of
I
here with
mean,
this
with
shit,
much reason because Craig Kimbrell has had some really ugly years, man. I mean, in
bro. Don't
between
remind me. But the
since
Cubs,
he
oh my
let ever
God.
since between 2018 and 2022, Craig Kimbrell's had a lot of ugly times.
And
So
I mean, I was
Guy who
there for.
started really well and kind of like lost it and ended up getting benched too. That guy right there, Barrios.
Yeah, there he
Um,
is.
first first 2.5 months of the season, man, he was headed for the All Star game, and all of a sudden, man, he started getting hit again. Same with Reese Olson. Reese Olson had a really good beginning of the year. That guy right there, and all of a sudden, they kind of lost it again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He's always had a safe floor but limited upside type of situation uh with the Detroit Tigers. He had a nice little apparently he had a nice game today as he got another win. But healthy 89 strikeouts against 95 innings pitch. So 1.18 whip, 3.22 ERA. But let's see, you mentioned he's holding his own, man. He's holding his own. He's a
It pays the bills. It pays
nice
the
little
bills,
pitcher.
but I mean,
Yeah, but
it pays the bills.
yeah,
But
right here.
in the
This
beginning,
is
he was much more highly regarded. In the
yeah, I
beginning, he
see what
had
you
some
mean now.
really good games in the beginning.
Yeah, look at starting June, Boston 4.5 points, Brewers -2.5. I almost call them the Commanders. The Washington Nationals only 1 point. Bounce back between the
So
Braves and the White Sox. So yeah,
he's up and
he's
down, up and
up and
down.
down. Yeah,
So
like a lot of these guys are,
I mean,
right?
still figuring it out. A lot of 24-year-old kids,
And speaking of
So
24, Drew Thorpe, how old is he? 23. Oh, I was off by a year. Drew
23.
Thorpe coming out of nowhere for me. Like he's
It's
doing
a nice
very
little whip,
well.
112. That's
He's
pretty nice. In the last seven, he has not allowed a lot of base runners in the last 7 games. Look at
He
that.
was pitch. Oops, he was pitching a dandy against the Twins this afternoon. Fourth straight quality start against the Twins today. He did not factor in the decision Wednesday against the Twins in the second game of a doubleheader, but he did allow 2 runs and 3 hits and a walk through 6 innings. He struck out one. Oh my God, I hate those pitchers. But you know what? It's effective. I'm not gonna. It's one of the few shining bright lights on this awful White Sox team.
Right, him and Fetty and Crochet. You
Yeah.
know,
Shoot, we should be winning more games
Crochet's done
then.
pretty well.
No, White Sox should be
Well,
winning more
you got to
games
hit
then.
though, but you got to hit though. That's the problem.
Yeah, oh God. I mean, you actually got to try in the outfield, Luis Robert. And
Yeah,
anyway, don't get me started on the White Sox,
I mean,
please.
it was a sad demise for the White Sox, and again,
I
not the
saw
show
it
for that,
coming.
but it was a sad demise for the
I
White
saw it
Sox.
coming because they just couldn't. No, anyway,
Look
don't
at
get me started.
Olson. You've been talking about Olson all night. Look at him. I had him too,
Yeah.
and I hit myself in the ass last year. I traded him for Volpe, and
Oof.
I thought Anthony Volpe was ready to take over, and that was a bad trade I made, and it kicked my ass last year because Olson tore it up last year.
And
But
then,
this year, he kind of taking a step back there. Him and Riley both.
oh, by the way, this is the other. This is a Juan Soto. He lives
Yeah,
out
he's
here
in
in
my
the
division. Yeah,
yeah.
he's in my division. Evil Empire.
He's in the Chicagoland area, former coworker of mine. He's a big Yankee fan, and the other Puerto Rican in this league. You just beat the crap out of
Oh,
him recently
sweet.
in the Puerto Rican Bowl.
Yes. Look at
Um,
Jonathan India. He put together a really good.
yes, a big
Yeah,
fan of
you were an
Jonathan
India guy.
India.
I remember a
And
couple of years ago.
I had a choice between, and I have him in the podcast league, so I'm still a believer. But I had a choice between him and Nick Gonzalez of the Pittsburgh Pirates for this league, and I chose Gonzalez just because I thought maybe there's a little bit more upside there. Boy, was I wrong. Geez, Nick Gonzalez has
Well,
been a flame out, and Jonathan India has been just demolishing the ball, it
I
seems
mean,
like
he had like a
lately.
20 game hit, like an on base streak here recently. It was
Yeah.
like it was a significant. I think it was an on base streak that was pretty good.
Look at that,
Was pretty
19
good for India there.
points,
But I
16.
think with by the way, this team he ended up with Volpe as well. So
Yeah, no, he was a Yankee fan. But bro, look what I missed
he
out
ended
on.
up he ended up with Olson from me for Volpe, and then he went and drafted Volpe, and it's a good draft. Volpe's got to have over 200 and some points.
Yeah,
So
but really quick, 44 points, 44 and a half points in week 14 for Jonathan India. That could have been my 44 points.
yeah,
Stupid.
that's when he went on that tear, man. He had like a 10-15 game. Like I think he was hitting streak on base streak, something like
Yeah.
that. And he went on a tear the other day.
No, because
Look at
he's
Wiz Robert, man.
yeah, he's I don't want to talk about him. Let's get moving. We're almost done here. Mookie Betts, that really hurts him. He's on the injured list.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw a
Uh
guy up there that we should have talked about a couple of years ago. Well,
which
look at
one?
Willie Adames, man.
Oh yeah.
Look,
Oops.
271 points, man. Where's Wonder Franco these days?
Oh.
So
And he's doing this with a 235 batting average. It's
235 is hitting home runs, 13 home runs.
12 stolen bases too. So sign of
Yeah.
the times right there, bro. Sign of the times. Let's see, what
Uh,
has he been doing since we're looking at the trends? How many points has he been posting? 17, that's healthy.
look at
19 and a
streaky.
half,
Yeah, look
33,
at that's 2 weeks right there.
36 points in week 10. That's ridiculous. So yeah,
Yeah,
he Willie
like
Adames
that's
has carved a
Alfonso
little,
Soriano, like right there.
yeah, he's carved a little boomer and bust player in his latter stages of his career. Because at one point, I don't think he was much of anything, just a safe floor guy. Now he's a bust,
Yeah,
a booming
he
player.
was a really good yeah, he was a really good hands, but he became much more.
Zach Eflin, so I gave up on Eflin, and Juan
Look
was
at
like, "I'll take
Eflin.
that. I'll take that."
Look
Camilo
at
the
Mitch
ball.
Keller.
Man, some nice players here. Jack Flaherty's bounce back season.
Yeah,
Alec
Mitch.
Marcia's posted 20 points because of course he did against my team. Because
Yeah,
of
he ended
course
up
he
with
did.
Stroman.
Oh, look at that. Big, yeah. So
I had to let Stroman go. I mean, yeah, it's just Stroman's to me. I've always seen Stroman as much better in a categories league. Uh, wow, Tristan
oof.
McKenzie got sent down.
Yeah, he's been
That guy used
struggling.
to give me a lot of pin. Is he hurt or something like Tristan McKenzie?
He's
Or
just been really bad.
man,
Demoted.
that guy a couple of years ago, he was a pretty good. He gave me a pretty good season a couple of years ago.
Yeah, can't miss prospect, but yeah, negative 2.5 against the Royals, only
Oh
four
my.
points against, only 3 innings pitched against the Blue
I
Jays.
guess skipping leg day caught up with him. I guess.
Yeah, negative 4 points against the Mariners, who can't hit for worth a lick. Um, but yeah, this is a high for him for a while against the Reds, 17 big points.
At Cincinnati.
But no, he's been
Oh,
pretty, as
yeah,
the kids would say, mid.
hmm.
And then Spencer Strider out for
No,
the year.
in Cleveland, don't show me Strider. That's so sad, man. I, I
Yeah,
like that dude Strider.
yeah.
And
Last year's
Yoshi
Cy Young winner.
Yamamoto. I mean, my Yamamoto. I mean, what he showed, but man, it's really rough to give that much money to a to a player and have them go down like that. But hopefully,
What's his injury?
uh,
It's a shoulder injury. Oops,
the
August
shoulder.
9th. Not good.
Yeah, that's pretty rough on year one of eight. Is that it? 8 years they gave this
Yeah,
dude?
it's yeah. They had to pay. You have to pay the cost to be the boss man, I mean, because you didn't know. By the way, Spencer Strider, the guy who should have won Cy Young last year. There, I said it. Had to be said. And that's all 12 teams, man. So second year. So how do you like this league so far?
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, I like that people are actually giving an effort, and
Oh
people
yeah.
are, serious about competing, and we try to stick with the rules and we try to make it better all the time. So I've really enjoyed my time here. Hopefully, I can make a little 83 win run into the playoffs and
What would
see how we can do.
what would you say is the biggest difference between this points league? You know, it's head to head as well, but then you also are in a head to head categories league with me as well in the other league. What would you
Right.
say is the biggest difference? The thing you like them? Yeah, just pros and cons and biggest differences between the two leagues.
Just the consistency, It's just this league has a history,
Mm,
it's got a long history and everything. So with that long history, there's going to come a camaraderie and
yeah.
an expectation of good behavior and all that. So I like that we all treat each other right and we're here to have fun yet compete. Not and even if you do have to tank or whatever because we are a keeper league or whatever, you still find a way to keep it interesting and everything. But is what it is. But please don't tank. Don't do that.
No,
We don't
these
do that.
suckers. Yeah, it's
We
June.
don't do that.
A team goes like 4-5 in his first 9 games. Like, well, I'm ready to tank. Let's get some first round picks for next year. Like, so stupid. Like, anyway, don't get me started on all the rule
Well,
changes
hopefully
because
the
they don't
strength
get.
of schedule will keep favoring me. So
Man, I need some strength of schedule, some weaker strength of schedule. Give me something, anything, please. Of
yeah, I
course,
think like the last 3 or 4 weeks, the team, if I would have played the team that played me schedule, I would be way under. So it's sometimes you're the dog, sometimes you're the hydrant, man. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, I've been the hygiene more often than not. I mean, I gotta remind myself, I'm in first place in the wild card division, for the wild card
yeah.
spot. But it's starting to sense like it's about to go downhill for me soon. I'm
I know I'm gonna run into one of these teams that's gonna hang 380 on me one day, and just gonna be it,
so frustrating. And right now I'm losing to the yeah, right, Juan might as well just be winning this one. He's the worst team in terms of the power rankings, 7-8 record, so he's holding on to his own. But the worst team according to power rankings, and he's beating the crap out of me by at least 65 points so far, and it's only Wednesday. So, no, man, something I don't know what else I can do here. I'm out of ideas. I don't know what else to do. I've done
Well,
everything
you
in
know
this
what?
league.
Roll the dice,
So
my brother.
I'm sorry,
Roll
what?
the dice
Roll
and
the dice?
roll the dice. And when in doubt, draft a pitcher. Find a pitcher.
Yeah, yeah. I just picked. Hey, I just picked one up right now. Spencer Schwellenbeck, the other Spencer for the
The other
Braves.
Spencer.
Spencer, am I
Okay.
saying his name right? Spencer Schwellenbach, who
Schwallenbach.
I, I don't know how I missed out on this guy, but I picked him up in all three of my leagues, and I'm pretty happy. So hopefully he's a guy that I've been looking for to solidify my roster, my pitching staff, I should say. But knowing
Right.
me, it probably means that he's gonna start struggling and start sucking. And
By the way, now that since we're talking about guys that have found a new home, kind of like Tristan McKenzie, another guy from the Guardian. Man, the Guardians are sending people down that were can't miss prospect. Not Logan Allen. Remember that guy?
come on,
That guy's been around in our league, and they sent him down too. So
I
it's
mean,
like you
Logan
know
Logan Taylor Allen has
Logan Taylor
been
Allen.
a staple on this podcast for years now. As Sean, it was at one point he was Sean's favorite player out of the minors at one point. He was one of my guys as well. And
He was one of my minors, dude, when I took over this team from Bush now.
yeah,
So I remember him.
I was the
And
one
I
who
gave
traded
him a
him.
chance, and he gets you a couple of he gave me a couple of wins, but nothing to keep, man. You
Well,
gotta you gotta
I traded him. I traded Allen to Bushnell just to give him a minor league player on his slot there, and even if Bushnell wouldn't have believed in him, he wouldn't have accepted him. But at one point he must have believed in him as well
well,
because
yeah. I
he
mean,
did take him in the
he
trade.
had pretty good metrics. He had pretty good scouts. It's just sometimes it doesn't translate, Susan. It's just baseball.
Yeah, and but the thing with him is that not only did he have good prospect rates, but he also was doing pretty well in the minors too. Like he was producing. And once
Producing, yes.
he got to the big leagues, and it's for whatever reason it just doesn't work. I don't know why. And that's a different episode to uncover what is wrong with what's this guy's name? Logan Taylor Allen. You gotta
Logan
say
Taylor Allen and
because
Tristan McKenzie.
remember
A lot of people say that he needs to do more legwork, but
well,
it's up to him.
remember
I'm not.
there was two Logan Allens for the Cleveland Guardians at one point. So
There
I
were, yes.
I
So
gotta
no,
make
we
sure I
got
say the three
Logan Taylor
names.
Allen.
I gotta make sure I say
Logan
Logan Taylor Allen because I get
LTA,
confused.
Logan Taylor Allen. Sounds like sounds LTA. It sounds like an airport code. LTA. I'm going to LTA.
Laredo, Texas Association
Texas.
down by the border. Good
Oh
times.
my.
Good times. Anyway, Melvin, thank you so much for appearing on the podcast. We got
Hey,
to
thank
all
you for
12
having me,
teams.
man. Always good. Always good to come over here and talk some baseball when life allows. So,
Any last words from you before I let you go?
all right. If you're out there and you want to see uh, a lot of players that you thought had long retired, you can catch them in the winter leagues in the baseball cosmos. So give us a like. You'll find names over there like Jumbo Diaz and
Oh my
other
God.
other other where are they now? Other can't
Jumbo
miss
Diaz.
prospects that Starling Castro still playing
I'm
down in Dominican Republic.
I'm not
Yeah, him and Pedro
surprised.
Strop are still playing in the same team, man. So
I'm not
uh,
surprised. Oh, Pedro Strop too. Wow.
yeah, him and Pedro Strop are in the same team. So
Interesting.
uh, yeah, it's really fun to look at these international leagues in the Caribbean and uh, some of the leagues in the Pacific and everything, and take a good dive and who's playing there. A lot of times some of these players they go out there to polish their skills, I like Elliot Ramos, and they come back and make an all-star team. So who knows, right? So anyway, we talk about international baseball, the baseball cosmos. If you're out there and you need baseball, I created it so we could have baseball through the winter because the winter leagues start in November
Bro,
and
you're
they
bearing
end in
bro.
so.
You're bearing the lead. First of all, I apologize. I forgot to mention that earlier that Melvin has a Facebook page called the Baseball Cosmos, and bro, you're bearing the lead there though. You're actually at the games now. You have you have
Yes.
the access to go into these
Yeah,
minor league.
I have interviews. I have interviews with the players. With I'm not just covering, like writing about them. I'm actually there. We're also gonna go cover. We're gonna cover an event in Nashville called Home Run Derby X. Uh,
Oh yes.
so Manny Ramirez, Andrew Jones, Pedro Alvarez will all give us a visit, and I'll try to get some content with those guys. So we'll we'll keep trying to get got some good interviews there in English and Spanish both. So go check them out, and we'll see what happens, man.
No,
Some of
interesting.
these sometimes these things end up expanding, and we'll see.
Interesting stuff, man. It's really interesting what you're trying to do. That uh, the whole international flavor, but you're also catering to the Latino audience, the Spanish speaking audience that may not get the attention that they're looking for, that or the content that they're in want of. Now, there's some guys out there that there's some Facebook pages that do a good job of that, but you're really uncovering some of the those diamonds in the rough that we're always looking for. Um, in terms of like the next superstar that but a Latino descent, and that's not because we're excluding like certain players of skin color here, but we want to celebrate the Latino culture and them being playing a part of this great sport, this American pastime. And it's just a beautiful thing. And as you know, we were huge fans of the WBC. I was in Arizona last year with Corey and Austin and those guys rooting on for Team Mexico, and Henry and those other guys were on the East Coast rooting on for Team Puerto Rico and I forgot Dominican Republic, and I forgot the other, what, Venezuela maybe.
Venezuela, yeah,
So,
Venezuela. Those are the
and we get a taste of that in the World Baseball Classic every 2 or 3, 4 years, but the players stay. A lot of those players are minor leaguers for affiliated ball clubs here in Major League Baseball, and it's pretty exciting that you're on the ground floor trying to keep track as to not just if they're gonna if they're on pace to make it to the big leagues, but also getting their side of the story because
yeah.
it's a story
I
that
think it's great that what I wanted to do was I wanted to tell the stories. There's 400,000 players in high school
mm,
right now. Out of those 400,000, about 50,000 will go to play for college, right?
hmm
Like I would say about 10% of that go on to play college. Out of the 40,000 that go on to play college, there's only a very few that make it to the major leagues, but there's a lot of players that end up playing independent ball, winter league ball, and they end up playing minor league ball, and they make a living out of playing baseball. I would trade places with those guys. If
yeah.
I'm making 85,000 a year, I don't care. I mean, maybe not that much money these days. You're getting paid to play baseball in the end. That's accountant money to play baseball. I mean, that's pretty cool, you know. So I want to get their stories told because they are professional baseball players. They are people who make a living playing baseball. They have a heck of a story as to why, you know, you talk to some of these guys, um, and they don't mope about I didn't make it. They speak happily about their journey. It's not like they're moping like Uncle Rico, you know, I wish this was 1981, you know, and I could still have my chance. No, you talk to a guy that never sniffed the major leagues, a guy that he's been playing winter league and double A ball all his life here in the States. And that guy has a story because he's rode 20 years of baseball buses. There's a story there to be told. And those are yeah, some people want to talk to Judge and Stanton and Soto and Tatis, and that's great too. There's a lot of stories to be uncovered by these guys in the winter leagues and the Caribbean leagues and the Caribbean series. And those stories deserve to be told as well. So
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I wish I was there. I mean, I was there. I saw the Chicago Dogs play the Kansas City Monarchs. I forgot what league they're in. I think it's just the independent league. I'm not 100% sure.
it's a Frontier League, yeah.
No, well, no, no, because the Schaumburg Boomers, they're in the Frontier League. I found out that the Chicago Dogs play in a different league. I just can't remember
Okay.
what league they're in. But they were playing the Kansas City Monarchs. And there's two names that got me excited from the Monarchs. And those two names were Matt Adams, formerly of the St. Louis Cardinals. Remember
Matt
him?
Adams.
He was supposed
Yes.
to be the next trio of position players that was going to take the Cardinals from here to here, along with Colton
Right.
Wong, Matt Adams, and Oscar Taveras.
Oscar Taveras. Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah.
Well, we found out. Well,
Poor
he can't
guy.
tell his story anymore, unfortunately. And Colton Wong actually
Unfortunately, yeah.
stayed a long time in this league, but then Matt Adams refused to go out like lying down. He kept grinding in these lower
Right.
levels. But the other name that I was really excited for, like I was like I was like a I hate to use the word. I was like a schoolgirl at a BTS party. But no, um I was super excited to see this other kid. I mean, he's not a kid anymore, but Gabriel Guerrero, who is
Oh
Vladdy's
yeah,
nephew, and it's a guy
Vladdy's nephew. Yeah,
that I actually
I
wrote
think that's
about.
Wilton's kid.
I
Wilton
think
Guerrero.
I think you're right.
That's his kid. Yeah.
Yeah, Vlad Jr.'s cousin, I guess. And
Yeah.
then, he was somebody I wrote an article about. Not an article. I did a blurb on him uh 10 years ago or so, maybe more than 10 years ago. And it's like, and he was one of those players that kind of stuck out because I was like just starting to write about baseball and trying to, get into sports writing on the internet. And I just remember that Gabriel Guerrero, man, this is freaking Vlad's nephew. This is
Yeah.
crazy. And then 10 years later, I'm watching him at the Chicago Dogs game, and him and Matt Adams just put on a clinic. They beat the crap out of the Chicago Dogs that night. If I could go back and get a few minutes to talk to the guy, I would be super interested to hear his story as to, um, I don't know. I honestly don't even know what to ask him. I just crazy that it has come full circle for me that I
I
went
mean,
from
you ask these guys, how do you make a living?
yeah,
Like, because you're riding the bus, you
yeah,
got 4 kids. How in the hell do you make it happen? And a lot of the answers are gonna be, man, it's gonna sound corny, but it's the love of the game.
yeah,
They love it. I mean, and a lot of these guys, they finished college. They
yeah,
they finished. I mean, they went undrafted. They
yeah,
finished college. They went to the independent league. They got signed to the Double A team or the Winter League team or whatever. These guys are educated. These guys have their degrees. They use their baseball scholarship to finish off, and but they choose to still play baseball at the professional level
yeah.
when they could be making more money
In,
outside.
in corporate
So
America, yeah,
and in corporate America, some of these guys have bachelor's degrees in management and business and this, that, and the other. Not that is all that matters, but they choose to play the game. They choose to ride the bus. They choose to get paid 30% less than they would be getting paid on an entry level job to play baseball. And to me, I want to know why.
yeah.
I want to know what their story is, what their
Yeah.
motivation is.
What keeps them going and stuff. Yeah. And it's interesting because and I'll leave it this because I did notice that. 'Cause obviously I noticed those two guys, Matt Adams and Gabriel Guerrero. But when I went to see the Schaumburg Boomers of the Frontier League, I did not recognize a single player. And you know me, man. I dig
Right.
for these
Yeah, you
names,
did.
and I did not recognize a single one of these
Well,
on either
the
team.
next time, if you sit down with a Caribbean with their if you get the media guide from the Chicago Dogs, you'll see that a lot of those players more than likely have had stints in Mexico and in the Caribbean and Venezuela and all that. And there's a story there, man. I mean, how can you not play overseas and have a story there? At least
Exactly.
cultural
Yeah.
change, or
Well,
something.
well,
So
my point about
that's why I created Baseball Cosmos. So
my point about the boomers was that I was piggybacking off of what you're saying that a lot of these guys did graduate from college. A lot of these guys, you're right. I was expecting some like 30-year-olds or late 20s guys who'd been in in baseball for a long time. And both the boomers and I forgot who the other team was, but yeah, a lot of those guys came out of college. They went on, like you mentioned, they went undrafted. They were in their early to mid 20s, just trying to see if they can hang on for a little longer after college. And that to me is a beautiful story because, like you said, they just graduated college. They chose to play baseball over, you know, making their degrees work for them, so to speak. So it's a pretty interesting tale to tell for
yeah, they,
sure.
they could have gone. They could have gone to enterprise and entered the management track, or
Absolutely.
whatever it is people do these days after college or whatever. Or they could have gone be a teacher or a lawyer or accountant, whatever. And they chose to ride the bus
Yeah.
for for less money than they would be making outside. So there's a motivation there, and there's a story there to be told. And there's a lot of stories there
Yeah.
to be told. And you want to go in there and go to Baseball Cosmos, and I'll give you a hint. I was coached by the third person ever to make it to the major leagues from Puerto Rico. So that I tell that story. And it's one of the writings I did in Baseball Cosmos. It's called Coach by Legends, and I had no idea. because they ended up being the second and third Puerto Ricans in baseball when Negro Leagues got upgraded to MLB.
Oh,
When the
interesting.
Negro Leagues got upgraded to MLB, these guys that coached me ended up being the second and third Puerto Ricans and then Pancho Coimbre, guy that never struck out.
Wow.
Look him up in Baseball Cosmos. Clemente said he was better than him.
Oh,
So
jeez. You know how
yeah,
Clemente
we'll
was, man.
see.
He just loved to exaggerate all the time, man. He's to
Yeah,
tell
a
the
guy that
tall
doesn't strike.
tales.
This about Coimbre. Those box scores exist. He didn't strike out for 4 straight seasons. So
Jeez, that's
look him
crazy.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
look him up.
you look him up
He
indeed
had a
over
he
the.
had a he had a he had a career batting average of 340 in the Negro leagues.
Oh,
So
wow. Well, yeah,
look him
check him
up.
out at the Baseball Cosmos Facebook page.
Yes, sir.
This has been the Total Basis podcast for Melvin. I was Felipe. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.